Good afternoon. Whoa. Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday. I almost said, as I switch over this shit for the end of the show, I almost said December. We're not there yet. God help me if we were, but we're not there. We're not there yet. Let's slow the roll down. It's November the 10th. 2022, it's another Tech Alpha podcast. Glad that you could join us here today. If you're here live, thank you for coming and stopping by. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening to us on the RSS feeds on your way to work, or maybe you're at work. Shit, maybe you're at home while at work. Congratulations for living in the year 2022. I bet you there's at least 60% of the boomer population that's seething at the fact that they couldn't just sit at home and work like everyone can today. But I digress. It's another great show lined up for you today, despite the fact that there's like 4 points of news. Usually, when I sit down and I write the podcast, I wait until either the last minute the night before, late Wednesday, or early Thursday. I take Em to work or I pick her up, depending on what kind of shift she's working, yada, 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 get home. And I start looking, because so much shit, when we change this podcast, I'll change over to the other screen here, so much shit when we changed this podcast to Thursdays, suddenly started getting released on Thursdays, that I had to literally shift everything that I do for the podcast until 14 minutes before the podcast goes live. Or otherwise, we'd be in the middle of the show, and shit's just fucking popping off, and it's like we're missing out on half the week's news, because it all happens on a Thursday. Well, that's fine in a week where there's lots of news, because it doesn't take me too long to write the podcast. It might take me 45 minutes, might take me an hour to get it done based on how deep I gotta go looking through the internet to find stuff to talk about for the week. But if it's like this week, and there's like 4 things that happen, it is like a 3.5 hour long marathon to try and put together literally even just a crumb of information for a podcast to be built on. Today's one of those days. So we're going to make the magic happen, as we always do. But before the magic begins, first, I have to ask the most important question of the week. Mr. Black, how was your week?
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah?
It was fine.
You closed on stuff, I think, in the last week? Did that happen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I closed on the 1st, so I think last week I'd already had the stuff. Yeah, pretty good week. Same old shit. Just been grinding, doing some stuff on the side. And that's pretty much it, man. Nothing. I really don't have any.
No Overwatch this week?
None.
Zero. So you went from daily to zero. You dropped off that bitch entirely, eh?
Yes. Yes. So yeah. I have nothing to report this week.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I started noticing that, because I always get your Discord messages when you're going live, what's going on for the day, your Twitter or whatever the fuck, and I started noticing it was going from daily, like we're back on the Overwatch grind, to literally done. There was no like 1 hour sesh or anything like that. It just went one day it was happening, and the next day that shit was fucking done. What was the breaking point? Was it something that actually happened during the stream, or did you wake up and go, fuck Overwatch, I'm just not doing it?
None of the above, really. I just had to get back on the roleplay grind for a while, and that's just pretty much it. I still play, like, I shouldn't say I haven't played any. That's a lie. Like, I probably played 4 or 5 matches in the last week. So it's usually like at the very end of my stream or off stream, and I play with Major, and that was pretty much it, but I haven't grinded it out.
Major's been through my stream like 5-6 times in the last couple of weeks, and every time he's in, without fail, he's trying to rope me into playing fucking Overwatch with him every single fucking time. So I'm glad he found you. That's good. That might be why I haven't seen him recently, because he no longer has to come bugging me about playing Overwatch. He's got you playing Overwatch instead. That's wonderful. Yep. Well, it's good. My week was also kind of another week. Of course, we all know what I've been doing for the last calendar year, and things continue to progress. We started to put the we've got like, I don't know, half the flooring in at this point. But we stopped doing the flooring so that we could put the cabinets in, so that the guys could come in to do the measuring of the cabinets, because that process is long enough as it is, and if we put it off any longer, we're going to be like fucking March before we have a countertop to cut food on. So we stopped the flooring long enough to start doing the cabinet stuff. So we started doing that largely a couple days ago. I started doing the prep for it, and then we started putting bars on the wall. The IKEA, the IKEA system's got the rail system stuff. We don't know. Dad and I aren't sure if we love it. We think it's pretty good. The only problem that that we've run into with this system, one, anyone that tells you could do IKEA cabinets by yourself is clearly insane. They're like, could you? I mean, I can fly for a brief moment if I jump off the roof of my house. It depends on your definition of flying, but technically, I'm in the air for a period of time. If somebody tells you that they can solo install an entire kitchen of IKEA cabinets, technically they can do it. Will it be good? Debatable. But it's not the building of the cabinets. It's trying to it's the prep work and the railing system install and all that stuff would be very challenging with one person, unless you're in a home where the walls are fucking built by gods. Where every wall is perfect, not just flat, but square to the floor, square to the ceiling, and fucking square where the two walls meet, which, if you can find me a home in which that's the case, even if it's concrete, I'll fucking shake your hand. So, we started putting the rails on. All the rails are on now. Of course, we're boxing our cabinets in with MDF at the end into the ceiling, and so, where there are gaps between two, like, let's say, over top of the oven, we had to make sure that the railings were not only okay in their individual sections, but also across the oven, that they would be flat to each other, the railing systems. And we started hanging a couple of cabinets just to see what they were going to end up being like, and how that system was going to work. And we hit our first snag. The base cabinet went in really well. No real problems there. But the upper cabinet, the cabinet itself is out of square. And in a way that we don't think we can do much about it. So, an IKEA cabinet, as anyone who's put together any IKEA furniture would know, the shit's all prefabbed and it's pre-drilled and everything is very precise. And you don't have a lot of wiggle room here. So when we were going through the instructions, and at one point they were telling you, before you put some nails in to hold that little thin backing of the cabinet at the back, they were like, make sure your cabinet's square. And I sat there, I looked at Dad, and I was like, so at what point of the putting screws where there are specific screw holes that draw everything in tight, at what point were you going to fuck the square up here? What is the average person capable of doing here and fucking the square? So this one cabinet, and I mean we had the big ass fucking tri-square out, had it on the sides. It's out by like a 1/16 of an inch, which on a 30-inch cabinet means if you hang it on a wall, you can see that shit. And so we had it on its corner. We're putting weight on it to try and rack it back into fucking shape. But because it's all pre-drilled and everything, you're gonna shatter the fucking cabinet before you put it back into square. So now we're coming up with how we're gonna fucking straighten it on the wall and all that nonsense. And we know it's the cabinet because everything's laser level. And we double check the rails with not only the laser level, but the spirit level. And everything is square from top to bottom, left to right. It's perfect. And ironically, if you put this cabinet on top of our base cabinet, it's also level. So it's the square of the cabinet that's fucked. So we were sitting there last night, like 6 o'clock at night. We had a long day, and we were so ready to go home and be proud of ourselves. And the last thing we see is this cabinet fucking up against the molding of the window. And because the molding is only like 1.5 inches away, you can fucking see that stupid 1/16 of an inch on the whole fucking run because it's out of line. So anyway, that's been our week, was just kind of working our way towards that. Flooring in, putting the flooring down and getting this done. The guys came back to fix the window shit from last week, so that was good. That's been handled, and we just kind of power on. I think today, Dad, because it was nice out, we were trying to do some driveway repair, because the driveway, I think, hasn't been really repaired since they paved that bitch. And so it's got dips and dives and fucking rocks popping everywhere and shit's all fucked up. And so we're trying to at least get where the water runs, trying to get things filled so that the water hits the end of the driveway and doesn't just sit on the side of the fucking house or go up into the foundation. So yeah, I think he's been doing some of that today. But otherwise, a relatively easy day until we get back into cabinet installs tomorrow, and that's it. I was also playing Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2. Guess what it plays like?
Like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2.
You fucking got it. You nailed it. It's a lot like that. It's a video game. It's not bad. Like I said, that sounds horrible, but it's just that it's Call of Duty. So you either like Call of Duty at this point, or you don't like Call of Duty, and there is no fucking margin for error there because it's the same shit. It really, truly is the same shit. We'll see what Warzone 2 brings, because at least it's different enough in that the genre is still infantile in comparison to running around a map and getting grind fest, destroyed by sweaty, cocaine-addled children, where you just like run in and you take 3 steps and you die, and then you spawn, and you take another 3 steps and you die, and you spawn, and the cycle continues. Let's talk about some video game news, Mr. Black, even though there's not a heck of a lot of it this week. But before we hop directly into video game news, I want to give a quick shout out to the some 11,000 people that are apparently going to get laid off over there at Meta underneath Mark Zuckerberg, whose new hobby is not only learning Mandarin along with his wife, but also learning how to burn money as quickly as humanly possible. And he's getting pretty damn good at it now, $15 billion deep in this Meta investment, to the point where he's going to lay off some people to keep this ship going. He's looking at that. They're taking on water, and they're not throwing the water overboard. They're throwing the sailors. Saying, fuck this shit. We gotta cut weight. And somebody said, well, get the buckets to bail the water. And Mark is throwing people overboard. He's going, why the water? And so, Godspeed to everyone. Maybe the Facebook, maybe the Meta people and the Twitter layoffs can come together and make their own social media platform, because I think they've fired enough people across like the entire stack from like the C-level down that you probably could actually form a whole new company with like at least, I don't know, 20,000 employees right off the rip and just fucking start making a new social media platform. It's quite a gong show over there, but Godspeed to all of those stepping into new roles here in the next couple of weeks. While he can't commit to anything at this time, Mr. Black, this is pivoting quickly about one Mr. Phil Spencer. While he can't commit to anything at this time, because the deal's not through yet. He obviously doesn't have access to the teams, of course, but somebody asked him, I think it was Wired in an interview this week, asked Mr. Phil, said, Phil, what do you think about Starcraft? That's a video game. That's a video game that Blizzard owns and operates. What do you think about Starcraft and the RTS genre in general, given that Blizzard basically propped that bitch up for a good fucking 20 years? And Phil said, well, given I don't actually own them yet, and even when we do, I won't have direct access to them. That's not how any of this works, even though people think that's how it works. He said, I do get excited about the prospect of what we will be able to do with IP like Starcraft. And he also mentioned Warcraft 3 and the RTS genre in general, because he said those were games that he actually personally spent a lot of time playing back in the day. And so it excites him, the thoughts of using some of these older IP. Now, I don't know what they would even do because Blizzard, with relatively recently, put out like the updated Brood War, the updated Warcraft 3, the fucking, like, they've already done all the shit that you would think would be the easy go-to, oh, we just bought this company, let's remake or remaster their games. Well, they already did it. They fucked them up too, unfortunately. They fucked that shit up hard, but they've already done it. So I don't know what they would do with it, but I'm here for it, whatever the fuck it is. And I am interested in what Microsoft does with Blizzard's fucking category or entire categories of intellectual property. What would you, Mr. Black, like to see if this deal goes through, and it's probably going to go through? What would you like to see of Blizzard's intellectual property? Would you like Microsoft to go back and reuse those? Or would you like Blizzard under Microsoft to maybe actually try and do something new?
Yeah, they're not going to touch StarCraft or Warcraft. That's just, it's pretty obvious. I mean, he can say whatever he wants to like appease whoever.
Well, what if they put it on like Game Pass for PC? That's probably like the closest thing that they're going to get in terms of.
But it's already free anyway. The game's already free anyway. StarCraft 2 is free to play, and has been for a very long time.
The multiplayer side, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So not the single player shit. They didn't just put the whole thing out for free.
I
I know
don't I don't know. I don't know. Maybe somebody in chat can tell me, but I know at least the multiplayer is free.
Yeah, I know the multiplayer is free. I don't think that they handed the entire campaign, all the campaigns out for free though. That would, I mean, if they did, damn, that's a lot of free content.
Yeah.
But I don't recall them going that far with it. But either way, yeah, that's the furthest one could imagine them taking those two things.
Yeah, that's about it. Put it on Game Pass.
Mm.
That's about as far as it's gonna go because they're not gonna touch the IPs. They're not gonna make new. They're not gonna make a new Starcraft or a new Warcraft. So,
What do you think Blizzard's gonna do? What do you like? Irrespective of this deal, what do you think Blizzard's next? Because they're obviously not going to die, they're not going to go away. What do you think Blizzard might actually try and tackle? Do you think it will be dipping back into their stable of things that they own? And I'm not talking about specifically StarCraft and Warcraft. They own more than that. Or do you think they're going to actually just go away and come back and try something wholly original?
yeah, no, I think Blizzard is. I don't think Blizzard's dead, but Blizzard is like. How do I put this into words? I just think there's no innovation left in Blizzard. They're just they're it's a profitable company that makes a lot of money off very specific IPs, and they're just going to keep catering to those. It's like their Call of Duty, you know, and it is their Call of Duty, but like you know what I mean. Like they're just going to keep cranking this shit out. It's just going to be more Diablo shit, more World of Warcraft shit. You know, running with this Overwatch shit, you know, I think at most you might get an Overwatch 3 if this game doesn't like die.
Now, a real 3 or like another kind of like expansion
chapter,
okay,
kind of like a, you know, like it's like Epic's Fortnite, right?
Yeah,
They know it's their staple. So they're just going to take their staples and they're just going to keep adding content with it. So yeah.
Yeah. And they're and I guess the other thing, and he's mentioned this before as well, what they'll likely get the most out of with this deal is the mobile side of things, because I think Activision owns King.
Yeah,
I think. And so, so I think they'll get a lot out of that. But it will be, because the fact that you and I are struggling to come up with what the fuck they're going to do with most of Blizzard is why I'm interested in what the fuck they're going to do with Blizzard when the time comes. It's like, you know, there's not like a readily available list of things that are like super obvious for them to do. So it does make it kind of intriguing as to what it is. And I don't know either. I think Overwatch was, you know, their last major effort at a wholly new IP. It was clearly successful, despite the fact that everyone memes on it. Clearly, Overwatch was successful enough to continue with. It's not burning so much money that they had to like torch the whole thing and fucking leave it and go back to just cranking out another World of Warcraft expansion and living off of it. But yeah, I agree. I think for the short term anyway, they're just going to continue to work on the things that actually make them money and are known to make them money. And then eventually, if they solidify and they get their feet back on the ground, then maybe they try and get out there and do something new. And I don't necessarily mean just new IP, but like an actual new venture and not an extension of what's already on the market actively right now, for sure. But yeah, very interested in that. With Activision, there's the thing about Activision is they own so much, but everyone's just thinking Call of Duty, because that's the big boy in the room. But I mean, Activision's a monstrous fucking publisher. They've got shitloads of friggin' games available to them. And
yeah, but I think like there's just so many games out there now that like, you know, Blizzard's not going to make a new MOBA. Like the MOBA,
they tried.
They tried. It didn't work, right?
Yeah.
So they're never going to touch that again. That's guaranteed. And they're not going to bring back Heroes of the Storm. So that shit's dead. StarCraft RTS, they lost every RTS pretty much head that there was there. There's 0% chance, which takes out Warcraft 3 or Warcraft 4.
Yep.
And StarCraft 3.
Yeah.
Or continuing to work on StarCraft 2 if they announce an expansion for StarCraft 2, which is just not going to happen. The infrastructure and team isn't there, and more importantly, it doesn't print money. So all I could really see them doing is more Call of Duty, which, let's be real, it has
that's a
the
given.
biggest. That's the biggest opening.
Yeah, we talked about last week, $1 billion in 3 days. Yeah.
Right. So like, there's their printer, and then they've got World of Warcraft, classic and non-classic, which, you know, they found another avenue to print money there. And they have Overwatch, and if anything, and Diablo. So, you know, we're going to get another Diablo.
Immortal.
Yeah, Diablo Immortal, which, you know, will make the money because mobile, and they'll do fine because China will eat it up. You know, places like that will eat it up. And the only thing that I can see them doing is creating another Hearthstone, is releasing a new version of Hearthstone. And even that, I don't see happening simply because they have got their printers. And I think what they're doing is they need to trim the fat. That means they need to get rid of Heart of the Swarm, which they did, Starcraft, which they pretty much did. That's just being ran on community. What other games are dead with Blizzard? I mean, you know, they
almost
need,
all of them, but Warcraft and Overwatch, really.
There you go.
And Diablo Immortal,
and Diablo Immortal, because Hearthstone's pretty much dead too.
Yeah.
Well,
Hearthstone can be run by a small team.
Exactly. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's got an infrastructure where I'm sure they're making money off it, but it isn't a growing. You know,
they pulled the majority of the developers
Correct.
off of that because they just don't need it anymore.
They don't need them. So if I was in Blizzard Activision's place, I wouldn't even be interested in creating a new game. They have a game that sold like $1 billion in the first, you know, week. So why would you even risk taking a team, putting them into another IP, like a completely new IP, and basically starting from the ground up when you have 3 IPs that are printing money? There is not a lot of publishers, developers that have that. Usually they have one Trojan horse. That's it. One. Activision's got multiple. So what do? You just pour more resources into those, make those better experiences, and keep growing that. Why would they create anything else? It just doesn't make sense. They can spin off of those bigger IPs to do something different. It's kind of like that whole like what's that really hard shooter game there that everybody, you know, plays and fucking rages
Arma?
at? The other one. You should get shot once, you're like dead. The Tarkov, right?
Oh, Escape from Tarkov.
You can make your Call of Duty version of Tarkov, right? You can have your game mode.
They're doing that actually. It's called in the new one. Yeah.
Exactly. So that can be their way of creating a new experience, but off the back of an IP that they already have. If they can figure out how to do that with, you know, an Overwatch, because I feel like even Overwatch as a game, you can change the formula up. And you already have the fan base there. Why don't they do those things? I think there's a far more bigger chance of them continuing to do those than creating something new.
Yeah, I think as far as like the teams that are actively there developing games for Activision and Blizzard as it stands right now, I'm 100% agree, and I think a lot of that will be unchanged after the buyout goes through. I think the only thing that would be more likely to come out of that, or not more likely, but as likely, is, you know, you do 100% want to have your money makers, but you also have to make attempts at, even on a smaller scale, trying to find your next moneymaker, because you can't just like perpetually rely on one forever, because if anything happens, you got all your eggs in one basket, then it's troublesome. It doesn't mean that Activision specifically has to be the one doing it, or Blizzard, but if Microsoft buys them up, they have access to the licensing for their IPs, and Microsoft owns a fuckload of studios. They could pull some shit and be like, all right, this looks like it might have a shot. We don't necessarily want the guys and gals that are making Call of Duty and running Overwatch and these other ones working on it right now. We need them to keep focusing on making the money printer go burr over there. But we do have other people that we could utilize these IPs with, because we've been looking for a project and we don't have anything, but now we've got these IPs on hand. And that I think is probably what you're going to see, because they have such a huge stable of developers now, and they for better or worse, not all of them are working out. It's kind of like the initiative. Is that what I think that's what they called it? The initiative, where it was their quadruple A team that's working on or supposedly working on the Perfect Dark reboot, and along with Crystal Dynamics, because half the team from the initiative just came directly from Crystal Dynamics, and so they just paired them up to help make it happen. That's spinning its fucking wheels and shit right now. So I know that it's not perfect, but definitely I'm sure they will pull some of the IPs out to do that stuff.
And lastly, they're investing a fuck ton of money into this. Do you think they're going to take this over and then start developing new shit? Like, dude,
No.
they need to take advantage of the IPs they have and get maximum return while the shit is hot, and nurture that before ever just grabbing shit and going, okay, we just spent $1 billion. Let's take a big risk here. Like, recoup that money for a while and figure shit out. It's just not gonna,
Yeah, well, we know what the general direction is with Call of Duty, because they announced that who was it? Was it Sledgehammer? Anyway, there was a game coming next year for Call of Duty. It was like a full, and it sounded like it was a full and separate game. But after Modern Warfare made $1 billion in 72 hours, they came out and said, all right, so next year is actually going to be an expansion for Modern Warfare 2. It's not a wholly new friggin' Call of Duty game. It's an expansion now of Modern Warfare 2, and we're still going to charge $70 for it. And that's how you know it was going to be a totally different fucking game in the first place, because no way in hell were they thinking an expansion for fucking $70. That was not on the table. But they've invested a lot of time and energy into it, as if it was, and now they're just changing it, because I think the first thing that came to their minds when they sat down, they said, well, I mean, this Call of Duty is good. We've had other good Call of Duties in the last 5 years. Why is this performing better? And somebody stood up and said, because it's called Modern Warfare 2. And then they were like, yeah, okay, we should just keep putting Modern Warfare on the cover of every fucking Call of Duty box until that stops making extra money. Because there's really no other reason that I can think of for Modern Warfare 2 to make $1 billion in 72 fucking hours. Having played Cold War, as far as the positive experience, the fun, the map design, everything, they're different, but they're both the same in terms of quality. There's no massive chasm between those two. So for one to make $1 billion in 72 and the other to not, clearly people just want to hear the words Modern Warfare because it's Modern Warfare. So now they've caught on to that, and now next year's title has been changed to Modern Warfare, the expansion, for $70 US.
Of course.
See if they get another $1 billion in 72 hours, and they'll start making that money back real quick. Bobby Kotick also mentioned he crawled out of his fucking satanic clown orgy cave long enough to tell everyone that he totally believes that this buyout is going through. Big shocker that he would want to say that, but yeah, he does. Because what does Bobby get out of it? Even more money that he doesn't already need, but he's going to get more out of this buyout anyway. That man is going to... That man is the seediest individual in the gaming industry for 40 fucking years, and he just keeps making money.
He's winning, bro.
You know what he is? You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of the most stereotypical comedic corporate villain from children's 90s movies. He's almost an exact representation of that person in every way, shape, or form. He looks like a fucking gremlin, he acts like a fucking gremlin, but he somehow manages to just keep fucking winning regardless, and it just pisses everyone off, and it's brutal. And on top of that, he's just got a punchable face. If you just showed, I showed a picture of Bobby Kotick to M, who's no fucking clue who the fuck this guy is. Just showed a picture, and she agreed. Very, very punchable face. Some people just have that look. Bobby Kotick looks like an asshole. He sweats douche, and it just so happens he might very well be. But he's making lots of money, so he's succeeding in his goal of making lots of money. But believe it or not, yes, he believes this buyout is going to go through. Big shocker on that one. I also believe it's going to go through, but I'm not making any money. I just know that Microsoft will fucking take this shit to court forever and ever and ever to make it happen, because they want this deal to happen. And no random EU regulatory body is going to fucking stop Microsoft from going through with spending all this cash on this buyout. Crazy to think, though, that Elon bought Twitter for as much money as he did, and Activision Blizzard, like, it's just like Twitter at half the valuation, I think, right? Because it was the Activision Blizzard was like $72 billion or some shit. Something crazy like that.
What is it?
Was the Activision Blizzard buyout like $70 billion or something like that?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember now. It's been so long since they started that deal. You might be able to get it faster.
Yeah, 68.7 billion.
Right. So like just shy of 70 bill. And then Twitter was what, 42 or 44 billion dollars?
Yeah.
And so like all the ways in which Microsoft's going to have to try and come up with making $44 billion with like some of the hardest hitting fucking games, monetarily speaking, in the entire industry, one of the biggest industries imaginable, and Elon is spinning his tires trying to figure out how to make back probably one of the worst buyout deals I've ever seen in my life. Anyone thought Twitter worth $44 billion was fucking cooked out of their mind. Literally the bottom of the monthly active users list of most popular social media platforms for $44 billion was hilarious. Fucking incredible. And God bless him. It's been a complete gong show. Have you been enjoying watching the dumpster fire?
I'm enjoying it all.
It's just it's literally my favorite tweet of this whole thing so far that I put out was 50% of me checking Twitter in the morning right now is for gaming news. The other 50% is to see what random policies Elon Musk decided to implement at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then how many of those policies got reverted by 7 a.m. Because that's pretty much how this is going. I actually have a picture of Elon in my mind, laying on a couch somewhere with a laptop and a fucking headset on or some shit, just randomly coming up with stuff. He'll be just sitting there after eating a lunch or some shit, and then something will pop into his mind. He's like, yeah, fuck it. And then he'll like pull up Slack, and he'll like message like the engineers, the 5 that he has left after firing every one of the other engineers. Be like, hey guys, you've got 13 to 16 minutes. Get this shit out, or you're fired. Go. And then some shit will pop up on Twitter in the afternoon, and then before the world's even had time to talk about it, like the official checkmark thing that happened here like 48 hours ago.
I think that it was a troll, man. I just think he's trolling. He's a troll, man.
He's a troll, he really doesn't want to make any money at this point.
Dude, he's the like richest man on the planet. Who gives a fuck?
Well, Mark Zuckerberg before him was the richest man alive, right? So it's not like it's impossible to lose the money.
Adam. Mark Zuckerberg created fucking Facebook. Elon Musk is changing the world. And I mean legit. So, and literally leaving the planet. So there are two very different entities. They are two totally... Elon Musk could buy Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, especially now.
Several times over. He is beyond rich. And if you think he bought Twitter to make money, it's not why he bought Twitter.
I don't think he even planned on buying Twitter in the first place. I think he put a meme out and got caught up in it, and then he got fucked legally speaking, and then he wanted to like avoid it, but then he couldn't, and then he was forced to spend the money. And it wasn't even all him. He brought in Saudis to help pay for it.
Adam, I don't fucking care, bro, because you know, if I talk about Elon Musk, I got a bunch of fucking crazy libs in the chat. I'm gonna be talking to a bunch of idiots.
Crazy libs.
I'm telling you, no, bro, I'm telling you. Everybody's bitching and complaining about Twitter. Oh, it's fucking horrible. Oh, it's the worst. Dude, Twitter has been such a leftist, far leftist fucking platform forever. They have silenced the right, not silenced anyone from the left. And now that the power is not in their hands anymore, everybody is fucking losing their goddamn minds. If they don't like Twitter, leave Twitter. Go somewhere else.
But there's
Go somewhere else. Go create another platform. I'm just sitting back watching it, just laughing because people are bitching and complaining about everything. It's quite funny. It's actually funny. It's hypocritical. It's ridiculous. And I just sit there and laugh. And Elon Musk is sitting back and he's laughing as well. Trust me. You think he gives a fuck about $44 billion? He don't give a flying fuck. He doesn't care. He's doing shit because he wants to do shit. I knew that this motherfucker was going to buy a media company. I talked about it even before he bought Twitter. A motherfucker was going to buy a media company. And he's going to switch it up. And that's what's happening. And the left don't like it. It's not the right. It's the left. The left don't like it because they don't control it anymore. They don't control the narrative anymore. They're not shadow banning everybody. It's what it is.
He literally like 2 days ago, he literally had his chat on Twitter where he said he's going to shadow ban people that fall under categories.
Cool.
So if the problem was shadow banning and trying to be a town square, then why is it if the idea is to not do that, then why is that suddenly a thing before that was a problem?
He did not say that was not the idea to do that. Everybody is just being so literal with like that motherfucker can't say a goddamn word without somebody bouncing off and saying the complete opposite, or you said this and you said that and you said that. But everybody's forgetting what Twitter was just before he bought it. It was one of the most corrupt. It was one of the most corrupt fucking companies, and it was literally burning money left, right, and center. This shit wasn't gonna last. And this motherfucker came in and said, okay, and the whole left side started losing their fucking mind because they can't shadow ban anybody from the far right or even the right that thinks a certain way, and that's that. And then he buys it and he's like, oh my God, racism is way up. This and this is way up. It's a bunch of fucking bots. It's narrative shit. It's all media spun bullshit. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a rocky road. He's going to do whatever the fuck he wants to do. And the ones that want to leave Twitter can leave Twitter. And the ones that want to stay can stay. I already think Twitter's a far better place than what it was not too long ago. Dude, I'm getting shit on my feed from people that I didn't even know really fucking existed until he was gone. It's like the floodgates has opened up in Twitter, and I'm seeing shit that I wasn't even supposed to be seeing before because everything was shadow banned, and I only needed one thing. You know how nice it has been to not see a bunch of fucking random ass chicks half naked all on my feed all the goddamn time. I barely see it anymore. It's like my whole Twitter feed's completely different. It's just a better fucking atmosphere. I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying the entertainment. And I haven't said anything on Twitter. I'm just sitting back. I'm watching, I'm laughing, and I'm watching Elon troll. That's just that. You can have a surprise Pikachu face. You can give me whatever fucking faces that you guys want to give. I really don't give a fuck. I don't care. And I truly don't give a shit if Twitter crashes and burns or it's here forever. It doesn't affect me. I don't really give a fuck. I'm just there for whatever. People are just bitching and complaining to bitch and complain. And it's quite funny watching everybody getting all in their feelings about fucking check marks and $8. Go fuck off. Seriously, go fuck off.
Not really the energy I was shooting for when I mentioned the meme of the unofficial checkmark, because it's the implementation. It's not. I don't even know where to start. You just ran a train.
I don't want to sit here and talk about Elon Musk for an hour. It's a gaming podcast. Because it's gonna go nowhere. Because you're so brainwashed, Adam. Like you're just so like you're so lost on the sauce that like if I have a conversation with you, it won't go anywhere. And if you want to have a conversation, we can do it not here. I'm not
even looking to have a conversation. Am I not allowed to say anything?
Oh, you can.
I'm not even trying. I'm not even going to. I wasn't even planning to counter anything you just said. But now I'm all of a sudden brainwashed. But you don't have any feelings about this. But now I'm brainwashed. Are you fucking okay?
You are lost on the sauce. I see you on Twitter all the time, replying to Elon Musk nonstop, fucking writing this and this. You're bitching about everything. You're literally part of the fucking crowd that is so brainwashed on and you think you have all the answers and you know what the fuck is going on and you said this and you did that. It's like, dude, just let it go, man. Let this Elon Musk do what Elon Musk's. Move on with your life. It's taking up too much. Everybody's too much time. They're putting too much energy into this. Let him do what he's gonna do. If you don't like it, leave the platform.
That's fine. People should if they really don't like it enough.
They're not leaving. They're not leaving. Okay. They're just bitching. And you know who's bitching? One side. That's it. It's one side. One.
When it was I have a question.
It's the ones that had the loud voices for the longest time, and now that they're not getting their way and they can't fucking brainwash people and put certain things in front of you 24/7 so you think and vote a certain way, that's just that. That's what it is.
Okay.
That's what it is.
So this is not my opinion that I'm about to say. I just have a question. Based on what you just said. This is nothing. I just want to preface this by saying this has nothing to do with my own stance on anything, which I have yet to even be able to approach here.
I already know your stance, Adam. I read it every day. I already know your stance. So you don't need to explain it again.
What's my stance? What's my stance?
I'm not going over all of this, because I'm not going to debate with you. I'm just telling you my point of view, and that's that.
Okay,
You're the one who brought it up. You're the one who brought it up, not me.
I know.
I didn't bring it up.
I'm not. Does it look like I'm angry about this conversation? I'm just sitting here asking if I can even say anything, or if this is just going to be a one-sided, thing, and that's the show. I mean, if you, especially since I've been now, like, we went from talking about Twitter to now we're talking about Adam personally in the midst of all of it. So am I allowed to, if I'm going to be brought up in something that wasn't,
for it.
then I can do it? Okay. So first of all, I have the question first. So before, and again, I'm not disagreeing with you. Before Elon Musk bought out Twitter as a whole, and continues to be to this day, despite the mass layoffs, extraordinarily left-leaning from bottom to top.
Woke.
Okay.
Not left-leaning. Woke.
Okay.
Ultra woke. Thank you.
Ultra woke. Whatever you want to call it is fine. So, with that being said, when it was like that, you're telling me that at no point in time, well, that was known, and obviously there's always going to be people that deny that it's going on, clearly. I don't think I was sitting around saying that the shit's never happened. Everyone that with a brain knows, because the discussion we had before, when you brought up, as you did, and we talked about this months ago, or last year, because it was before, long before Elon Musk mentioned anything about buying Twitter, was that billionaires of his status tend to go out and purchase media companies because they like to control the narrative as a billionaire, because it has enormous value for them and their businesses. People have done it for a very long time. Most of the oldest media in North America and around the world operate within those confines. So we knew he was likely going to do it eventually, especially since he has become the most wealthiest man alive. So fine. Before he buys it, and it is that way, because everyone that owns and runs Twitter, that's them. So clearly their bias will sneak into Twitter. And now that Elon owns Twitter, his biases will be what Twitter becomes. That's just the nature of things. When it was that, are you telling me that people who were on the opposite end of the woke, is what we're going to call them, weren't complaining about the fact that shadow banning and all the other suppression was happening?
No.
They weren't. None of them were complaining about it.
Show me proof. No.
Nobody complained about it.
Okay, so now we're going to do nobody?
No.
Dude, I'm talking about the general minority, the loud minority. There was no loud minority. You know who was complaining about it? The right. Because they were the one being canceled and shadow banned.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at. Those
were the ones.
So it's understandable, right?
The left in the woke, the cancel culture, they said nothing. They kept on their high horse, continued to cancel.
Yes, I agree. That's what I'm trying to get at here, is that the ones that were being marginalized complained. Correct? And why wouldn't they? Their word's not getting out. They don't know what's happening. They're not technically breaking terms of service. They're gay, and that's why it's called shadow ban. Of course they'd be pissed off. Everyone going to be pissed off about that shit. It's bullshit. Clearly. It's just that the company was being run by people with a bias, and so that bias becomes the platform. And so that was a problem. Now we have the opposite. Now the right side is coming over. They're being allowed back in, and Elon has said, specifically just this week, in questioning about the council. What do they call something council? It's it's their moderation council, whatever he called it. I can't remember what they're calling it now. Anyway, the question was brought up about shadow banning and the moderation council, and he discussed the difficulties around trying to create a moderation council, which is understandable, because as we also talked about when we talked about Twitter before Elon actually went through the whole thing, it's extraordinarily difficult to moderate fairly any social media platform, because anyone who has any power on it is going to have a very hard time not instilling any amount of bias. That's a super fucking hard thing to do. I wouldn't want to do it. If somebody came to me and said, hey, be on a moderation council, I'd be like, pass. Hard pass. I don't want that responsibility. That's a really fucking hard thing to do. And so he said that, and then he followed up by saying that there will continue to be, based on stuff that he was not willing to talk about yet, because he is saying now he doesn't have the answer to, I'm guessing, I'm inferring that he doesn't have the answer to it at this moment, and he doesn't have the council built because he's only owned this platform for a couple of weeks, would be my inference as well, which makes sense. It's logical. That there will continue to be, based on what this platform deems is an issue of any kind. He didn't specify, so there will continue to be shadow banning.
Okay.
Of either, now, we don't know which side it's going to be or where it comes from.
There should be. There should be on a platform.
There should be.
There should be.
Okay.
It just should be equal. It
Sure.
should be there. It's not. The problem is, Adam, just because you're silencing a few or banning certain people.
And just to be clear, I'm not trying to make some sort of point by talking about all this. I'm just walking through this whole thing right now.
Yes, I understand. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm telling you is definitively,
sure,
it was the woke mob that ran Twitter. The employees, far left, woke, the vast majority. The narrative, everything was spun for the ultra left, the woke, the cancel culture. They let it happen, period. When you're banning people like Andrew Tate off of Twitter, or you're banning people like fucking, I don't even know who else, but yet you've got other people that are
Kanye, I guess.
Kanye, whatever, right? Anybody. It doesn't really matter. They only want a certain type of voice there, and that is that. They want a certain narrative. They don't want you to think it's a certain way, and it's been like that for a long, long time. There is nothing wrong with banning people from a social media platform, or even shadow banning specific people from a media platform, as long as it isn't a concentrated, one-sided thing. If it is across the board from all spectrums of your political views, your different ideologies, whatever, that it isn't a targeted set group of people or a separate group of ideology, then I don't see any problem at all with what they're doing. He's not coming through and saying, hey, I'm buying this and now nobody's going to get banned and nobody's going to get shadow banned, or no, it's going to be completely free speech where you can say anything you want at any time. He's not saying that. But people will go to the extreme and put words in his mouth because they're upset about the change and the fact that the narrative is changing, the platform is changing, and they can't control. And they can't control this billionaire, and they don't like it. The government can't control him. The people can't control him. He's going to do what he wants to do, and it scares the shit out of people, and they're lashing out for it. That's just it.
Okay.
And I love it.
Okay. So I was just trying to get a baseline there with that, because then I want to talk about my stance on this, what you saw on Twitter, or what you said you've seen me talk about on Twitter, and then called me brainwashed about my stances I took on Twitter. So I want to say that the only things that I have talked about on Twitter in regards to Elon's takeover with this stuff is just stuff that doesn't make any logical sense to me. And the first thing was the verification checkmark. It's not that I don't give a fuck, or that I give a fuck, I should say, about spending $8 on a checkmark. That's not my concern. My concern, not even a concern, the thing that made me confused was that conceptually, the idea was put forward by Elon and many other people, not just Elon, but loads of other people, that the checkmark as it existed was like some sort of like, they used like medieval terms and stuff. It was very odd. It was like some sort of like plebeian, and then like kings and fucking queens, and like lording over everyone with a checkmark, which we talked about on the podcast only about probably a month or two ago, where people in the gaming community were buying their checkmark, their verification checkmark. Well, not them specifically. It's usually their agent.
I'm going to say this.
Yes.
If we go down this road, I'm doing no gaming news. We're going to go right into whatever. So
Sure.
you can pick and choose what you want. If you want to have a dialogue about fucking Twitter,
I'm not,
like
okay,
whatever,
so
then I am not staying around for the gaming news. I'm just being honest. I only have a certain amount of time tonight. I got better things to do. If this is the route you want to go, I'm just telling you, we're gonna switch subjects, and we're gonna go right into the tech support and be done with this.
All I'm doing right now is allowing myself the opportunity, after being called brainwashed, to at least describe what my stance on any of the things that you would have even seen would
I
have
already
been.
know what your stance is.
I don't
Adam.
really care about you. It's the fact that you, on this platform of 4 people watching it and the 5 people that we'll see on the RSS feeds, just listen to you call one of your best friends of 25 years brainwashed without now allowing or wanting to allow him to be able to even present anything in the first place. It's kind of insulting.
Did I offend you?
You did offend me.
Did I offend
yes, you did. It was offensive.
Well, I
not because you
I
called
apologize.
not because you called me brainwashed, but because the way in which you did it, and then told me that the solution to it on the other side was to have the conversation privately. That was a bit fucked up. So what I'm going to do, whether you want to do gaming news or not, is I'm just going to present relatively briefly what my actual stance is on the things that you would have seen me, which people can see on Twitter. I mean, my shit's there. What those actually are. And then that's all I'm interested in. I'm not trying to have a dialogue. I'm just trying to do what you did, which was explain your feelings about Twitter and Elon. And I'm just going to explain on my side. And that was it. I'm not looking to have an argument or a debate or anything like that. It's only because of how it was presented that I'm trying to put my own shit forward. That's all it is. So as I was saying, with the checkmark
I'm going to be
verification,
honest. I think I'm going to take off because I actually have zero desire at all to talk about any of this. And to be honest, the chat's pissing me off. I don't feel because I'm gonna fuck it. I'm just gonna tell you my views on the world are not lining up with this fear that I'm in. My views is I think very differently, and every time that I express my disdain for certain things, I am constantly bombarded by a certain subgroup of people.
Okay.
Because it's just the way that it is, and
Okay.
I just don't
That's
give a
fair.
fuck. I mean, I'm a grown ass man. I don't need
That's fair.
I don't need to be here, right? I don't need to do this. So
That's fair.
to me, it's whatever. I'm not going to sit here and listen to a bunch of people that I truly just really don't care about their opinion because they're so far gone that I didn't ask to have a political conversation in my gaming podcast. You're the one who brought this shit up. And listen, there's many.
I wasn't trying to make it political.
No. You brought that shit up.
I did.
So I told you how I felt about it, and
Sure.
that's that. I don't want to have a conversation about Elon Musk. I don't care about what you think about Elon Musk. I don't care if you think Elon Musk is going to go broke from buying Twitter. I don't care if you think a check mark is good and how he's I don't care about any of it. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. None at all. I
Okay.
don't talk about it on Twitter. If I cared, you would have already seen me talk about it on Twitter and other social media platforms. I'm not coming to my gaming podcast and having a political debate with somebody that is so far on one side and I'm so far on the other that no good will come from this. And I got to listen to the loud, not even minority, I got to listen to the loud and majority of people on the side, not only in the comment section of this YouTube video, but also in this Twitch chat, back you up, talk shit about me, and I'm not standing here for it. I'm not doing it. I'm not a punching bag. I'm not doing it. So
I'm not trying to have a debate.
Adam, here's the thing, bro. I don't care because it's turning into one and I don't want to have one. I did my best and I've done this in the past to say, I don't want to talk about something because I know where it goes because we're on two different spectrums and that's okay. That's okay. I still love you. You're still my boy. I just have no desire at all to talk about this in front of an audience. That is specifically why I told you, if you want to talk about it in private, I'll talk about it in private and I'll call you brainwashed to your face too. I don't care. That's the thing. I'm just saying what's on my mind. So it's one way or another. I am done talking about this. So I can leave and you can go ahead and give your points of view and you can do whatever, or we can move on and we can continue this podcast. It's up to you. It doesn't matter to me, but I'm not going to sit here and listen to it from the chat, from the YouTube, anything. I'm not signing up for it. I don't care. There's your options. I'm giving them to you straight up. So you can pick. It's up to you.
Sorry, just give me a second. I'm just processing that. Give me a second.
Sure.
Okay. So what I will say then, and then we will move on, is if anyone is interested, since if I talk about it, we have to end the podcast today.
You
what
don't have
my
to end the
side
podcast.
is-
I can leave,
But
and
that
you can
just
continue your podcast.
But that just effectively ends the podcast at that point. If it's just me standing here to give my side of what that was about. And again, I was only interested in giving it after I was called brainwashed. Up to that point, I didn't care. I was willing to just let you say your piece, and then that was it.
Adam,
because
I
never
already
meant to
know,
be in it.
Adam, I already know, and so does this entire podcast, where you stand politically and where I stand politically. So we
But it's not about politics.
we are on two.
It's not about
different-
politics.
It is. The whole buyout is politics, bro. The whole thing. It's all political. All of it. And when we start talking about it, dude, that's the thing. I got to listen to a bunch of fucking idiots in comment sections, in chats, trying to explain all this dumb shit. And it's not an important part of my life. I don't care about it. That's the thing. If you want to have it consume your life and you want to sit on Twitter all day and you want to respond to Elon Musk 10, 15 times a day, go ahead. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't care to talk about it. It's not that important. I got real life shit to do, man. I'm like out here actually living my life, doing shit for me and my family. I don't give a fuck about Elon Musk. I really don't. And I most certainly don't give a fuck about woke tears on top of that. So you add those two together and I really am checked out. So I didn't want to talk about it. Because I see it all day long. Aren't you tired of talking about it and seeing it? Isn't this a place that we go to escape this dumb shit? Why are we doing it here?
I brought it up just to make a quick joke about it. There was it's not even in the notes. It's not even in the patch notes here. I just brought it up as a joke segue to move into another topic. That's literally all it was. There was no point to talk about it. Certainly not to politicize it. And yes, it might be a political move, but it wasn't to politicize it. It was literally a joke segue. But yes, we absolutely can move on from that.
Thank you.
We can move on.
Thank you. If you want to spend 6 hours on your stream going through your shit, go ahead, man. No one's stopping you, bro.
It wasn't about 6 hours.
No one's stopping you, bro. No one's stopping you. You don't even have to defend yourself, Adam. Because the vast majority of people that watch this podcast, they all hate Elon Musk too. So you're okay, bro.
I don't even hate Elon Musk.
It's okay, bro. It's okay.
Where did you get the idea that I hate him?
It's okay, Adam. It's okay. It's all right, man.
Why are you being condescending about this?
Dude, because, bro. Because it's just the way it is. It's
What is the way it is? Why are you being condescending now? I just told you we're good, and now all of a sudden you want... I don't understand what it is. Like, I didn't even say I hate the guy. I've never said I hate Elon Musk. I just literally, ironically, on my stream here last night, night before, talked about how I actually still have respect for the guy. But, okay. Anyway, God of War Ragnarok dropped this week, despite its being out for the last week or so thanks to an early embargo hit. It's doing remarkably well, hitting 94 on Metacritic, matching the original in 2018 of 94. Probably going to sell a shitload of video games and a shitload of consoles, if I had to take a wild fucking guess. Take-Two finally also sold all of the GTA 5 copies they can, it seems, after 10 fucking years of selling 410,000 copies every 5 to 10 minutes. They've decided that, hey, maybe we've actually hit saturation. We can't do this shit anymore. And so they started to slide down. They're not selling as many copies anymore. And the result of that, alongside of their inability as Take-Two, the publisher, to hit their targets, chiefly with their mobile division. Coincidentally, after having just talked about Blizzard's and Activision's, They saw a sharp 15% drop in their stock price after all of their missed estimates. It's kind of climbed back, but not really. We'll have to see if it continues to climb back. If it does, it will take some time. Anytime a company of that size misses marks like that, and they don't see GTA 6 with an actual release date, they're interested in when they're going to get their next round of money as investors. So they've dipped for now, and they'll come back later. But for now, yeah, it was a 15% drop. And it's kind of indicative of the mobile game market impact in general right now. All of gaming is down, clearly, because nobody can afford to buy a loaf of bread or 3 bananas at the store right now, let alone actually go out and buy video games or spend $58 every 3 days on V-Bucks for their Fortnite expenditures. But mobile gaming is hit way fucking harder than even the console market. So the console market, as we've discussed here in the podcast, continues to crank shit out. PlayStation only just recently finally hit supply to meet, and well, not even meet, but slightly surpassed demand. Somebody posted an image on Twitter here last week or early this week where they went into a Walmart or some shit, and there was actually like 15 PS5s in behind a glass case, something we haven't seen literally since that console actually hit the market. And so that shows you that we're actually still doing at least relatively well on the console side. Same with the Xboxes, they're still selling well. And we actually just saw Microsoft come out with all their numbers talking about growth in various ways, and PlayStation talking about, despite the fact that their overall subscriptions for their subscription services has gone down, their actual monetary gain has gone up, largely due to price increases, I would have to take a guess. And so their numbers are still being hit for the most part, while mobile has been tumbling down. In fact, I looked up some numbers earlier this year, the only segment of mobile gaming that actually saw growth for downloads was the action segment, and it came in at a whopping 5%. The rest of the market fucked off somewhere for vacation at Tahiti. That shit's down 28-30% across almost every other category year over year. And so clearly some of that has to do with monetary issues going on in the world right now. But I had a question to propose to you, Mr. Black, and that was chiefly, what else do you think is happening? Do you think that people that have been brought up on, and we talked about this on the podcast too not too long ago, brought up on the mobile gaming market and have been used to spending money in micro amounts to the point where they forget that they've spent $55,000 a year on microtransactions, do you think that they've hit an age now where they went, wait a minute, that's a bad idea? Maybe we shouldn't be doing that any longer because, if the consoles were also tanking out so hard, and PC was also tanking out so hard, but demand is barely being able to keep up with shit on those two still, and any backslads are relatively minor compared to mobile. So what do you think, other than people not being able to have the money they used to here in the last 6 to 9 months, what do you think might be contributing factors for mobile? Do you think that is the case? Is there a shift in the culture of gaming on mobile, or do you think it is just really that the people that would be spending money on mobile suddenly don't have the money?
I don't know. I mean, I think part of it might be a lot of other stuff is going up as well. Like, the economy itself it's taking a beating. People are losing money. Inflation is at all-time high. You've already got a bajillion other streaming services and different things. I don't think it's necessarily one thing where it's like, the kids are no longer using their parents' credit card and now they have to use their own credit card, and now they're thinking, well, I'm not going to spend that money. People are going to spend money on whatever the fuck they want to spend money on. If they like it enough, they're going to spend money. Whether they have it or they don't, they're going to find it, they're going to spend it. I think what this is, it's just a far bigger issue. It's not just about the games. I mean, I think part of it is there's too much microtransactions. I think part of it is there's a lot of free to play games now. There's just more options. I also think a lot of people kind of identify with one or two games, and that's where they pile most of their money in. And then I think the main thing is people are just fucking don't have that much money in 2022. I just think, the pandemic, like if numbers are going down, like we come out of the pandemic. So like everybody's home, everybody's playing games, everybody's got more money than they ever did, believe it or not. Most people, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people were getting checks. A lot of people got money. And when you're getting checks and you're getting money and you're not going out to eat, you're not traveling, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, money starts to just show up. You're like, whoa, If I'm not eating out at this restaurant 3 times a week, holy shit, I've got an extra $300 in my pocket. So people were just spending more money, I think, throughout the pandemic. And now we're out of the pandemic, and people are back to work, and the economy is shit because of the pandemic and of many other things, and they just don't have the money. I think it's probably the big reason. I could be wrong, but
yeah, I've been trying to figure out why all of the segments except for action games has been the one taking it. Because I agree with everything you said there. I'm just trying to figure out why, for whatever reason, all these other segments tanked so fucking hard. I guess that's just kind of the one thought that I had is that smartphones and shit have gotten so powerful now that the games that people are playing are substantially closer to, let's say, playing a game on the Switch than it would have ever been before, where like mobile games before really struggled to break into certain genres of gaming because they just didn't have the horsepower to necessarily do it, so everyone's playing fucking, Candy Crush and shit on their phone, and now all of a sudden we've got Genshin Impact, we got PUBG Mobile, we got Call of Duty Mobile, we got like legitimate fucking full-blown first-person shooters ran full of microtransactions on phones now that play, especially if you strap a controller to your phone, that play damn near similar to the console or PC version. So the only thing I could come up with is that it represents two things. One, all of the monetary things you just mentioned there and the various categories in which they come at people. And then two, I think it's kind of indicative of the direction of the types of games that are becoming more popular on mobile, where it's no longer just, and I didn't even mention Fortnite for fuck's sake. Fortnite, for God, like that's another one. So kind of indicative of the most popular games that are happening to be on phones now that a lot of people are playing in the millions and millions and millions versus what it used to be. So I think, like, while some of those other games are still going to be popular, the ones that are hitting big and making all the revenue are going to be these bigger, fuller experiences, closer to console experience kind of situation. So I think that might be why there's still some sort of growth in that category. It was really one. It was the fucking chart looked hilarious. It was 5% on one, which is barely growth at that point, and then everyone else was like 15, 20, 30+% just in 1 year. So I think that does kind of point in maybe a shift in it. And I do hope personally that while it is likely only a small portion of this shift in revenue and whatnot on mobile, that those people that did grow up used to, as we've talked about them so many times before, spending all this money on phone games, that maybe they did hit an age where they went, wait a minute, I'm getting fleeced to fuck out of every dollar that I friggin' bring in, to my hands. I'm putting it directly into this game, and I'm watching all these other people on consoles and PC, and yeah, they're getting fucked too, but they're getting fucked with like a 4-inch dick, and I'm getting fucked with a 12.5-inch penis, and I need to reduce the size of that before I'm shitting just walking down the hallway. And so I think I'm hoping that that's kind of where they're going with this shit, because that would be ideal, because what it means is maybe it will stop the fucking explosion of the stuff happening on consoles and on PCs, or at least put like a soft ceiling in place where they don't just perpetually chase after the type of transactional, revenue spend that phones have and bring it to other places. And that's just a personal one for me, because we talked about this on my stream the other day too, where it was just like, man, games as a service is really taking the fucking fun at a lot of this shit. Like, it just... Like, everything feels like a transaction now. Even when it's not a transaction, when you turn a game on, you feel like you're actively involved in a transaction because you're just getting bombarded. The first thing you boot up Call of Duty, what do you see? Messages of the day. What's the messages of the day shit? 14 different battle pass related things. Here's an expansion this. Here's a fucking way to come online and spend that. Here's our latest Doritos promotional material and your Mountain Dew that you can fucking put in an IV and hook up to your fucking main vein while you're playing Call of Duty for 14 to 15 days straight. It's all there. So the moment you turn it on, you're already getting hit with it. And it just kind of sucks the fun out of the fucking game. And so I do hope that maybe at the very least, if we stopped here, if the fun bus stopped here, I could live with it, But if it like kept crawling to where the phone shit is, oh my god, I don't know. I'd be like reduced to just playing. I'd be buying a fucking like retro tink, and I'd be plugging in my N64, and I'd just never leave. That'd be it. I'd be phoning it in and playing like Harvest Moon for the rest of my life. Call it a fucking day. What do you think about that shit? You don't play as many games now, but you're starting to play games off stream occasionally. What do you get annoyed with if you dip your toes into this kind of stuff, or are you still managing to like play mostly games where that doesn't exist yet, like single player experiences and things?
Yeah,
that
I don't really get bombarded too much with all this extra stuff on the games that I play. I mean, there's always options. Like in the games I play, there are options to buy things and skins and different stuff. But that doesn't do anything.
It's like desensitized.
Yeah, I just don't care. Right. I'm going to play the game, and I don't need a different color shirt or shoes or pants, or I don't need a different icon. I just play the game. That's it. And if it's egregiously like pay to win, I just don't play the game.
Yeah.
It's just not a game for me. So it's like I just don't sign up for the madness.
That's what I'm concerned with, is the pay to win shit making it its way over, where it just becomes more and more like a thing where like they're encroaching on that with Call of Duty now, where like with Warzone and stuff, in order to unlock certain guns, you need to own the main game, and then you go unlock them in the main game's multiplayer, and then you bring it over to Warzone, or they'll have guns behind the paid battle pass or something like that. And oftentimes, big shocker, those guns tend to do pretty fucking well versus other guns. And so it's not necessarily pay to win, but they're like flirting with the edge of it to see, where people's lines are. Yeah. And so it's true. I'm the same way. But conversely, if I'm playing something and I really fucking like it, and I'm enjoying my character and I want to customize it, I won't mind if I spend $10, $15 or whatever the fuck to do my thing. Like when we played Halo Infinite at first and I was really enjoying myself, I saw that the armor I used to wear, and I did lament this, that I got for free in Halo 3, that was just the armor that I wore in Halo 3, now they're selling it back to me as a millennial with fucking nostalgia problems. I bought my Spartan this armor, and that was okay, but like when it becomes a pay to win thing, yeah, that's a fucking pain in the ass. I just wish they didn't hit you with it so much. Like you turn the game on, the first thing I don't want to see is an ad. I don't really feel like I want to see it, even though I'm just like slamming the B button the whole way through because I know it's coming. It's just kind of like it's 20 years of it, and I'm just old and addled now, and so it's thankfully not in too many of the single player games. So we talked about that. Here's one that a lot of people were interested in this week, especially in comparison or contrast to the Helena Taylor Bayonetta 3 incident that we talked about for the last two podcasts, where she came out and gave some very specific information that was like the lawyer speak, technically correct, but totally not the entirety of the reality of the situation kind of thing in her video, and then that whole wave played out, so everyone knows how that went. So this is kind of the opposite of that, where she gave a very little bit of information that was then investigated to be discovered to be a lot more information that she was leaving out that would have gained a lot more or a lot less traction if she had been honest about the situation when she released it. This is the opposite of that. So this is about Doom Eternal specifically. Which was a pretty fucking good video game. It specifically had pretty fucking incredible music. And that pretty fucking incredible music was brought to you by one Mr. Mick Gordon, who laid out a hefty thread of receipts to back up a great example of a truly awful freelance artist's experience with video game companies. So this guy has never worked as like an on-hand employee. He's always been freelance. He's contractual. He mentions in this article he wrote for Medium that nothing is ever, and this is smart and more people should do this, nothing happens without a contract. Everything is on paper. Everything is signed off for. Nothing is message me on email and be like, oh yeah, I'll totally do that. No, you want to add that? New piece of paper, new signature, everything. So this man is loaded to bear with about as many actual receipts as you could possibly hope for to defend himself, which is good because the executive producer of the game, Marty Stratton, posted an open letter on Reddit. I think it was earlier this year. I think it was like as far back as May. An open letter on Reddit for whatever reason, detailing how the creation of Doom Eternal's soundtrack was a nightmare. Mick Gordon brought the receipts for this to shut this down because he specifically called out Mick Gordon in this open letter for whatever fucking reason. And of course, being the guy who made all the music, even if he didn't mention his name, kind of obvious who he was talking about at the time, was Mick Gordon. So, in the midst of all this, the highlights for this is that the open letter is posted. Mick Gordon smartly goes away, doesn't say anything. Probably lawyers up. Looks at everything. Internally, Mick said, for months, he asked to bring this to closure privately between the two to settle whatever the fuck it was that this guy was going on about with this open letter on Reddit. He refused over and over and over again and continued to perpetuate this story that he put out there. Then he said that Stratton also offered him 6 figures after a while to go away. And don't talk about it. So again, this is about as opposite as that Helena Taylor situation you could possibly get. But he was offered all this money. 6 figures is no joke. That's a lot of dollars to not talk about this. And after all these months, and finally, clearly with legal counsel, because this is a hard thing to dance around, decided that, as he said, the truth was more important than the money because this hurt his professional reputation amongst the community, clearly. If somebody comes out as an executive producer for something like Doom and says it was a nightmare to do the soundtrack, and you're the soundtrack guy, that might be a problem when you're looking to go get more work in the future. And so he's decided that for him, it's better if he comes out and clears his name than just taking this six-figure deal to shut up and let Stratton, have his open letter on Reddit. And so as such, he goes on Medium, which is a website, if people are in the gaming sphere, they might not know about it, but Medium is like a tech blog place where people can go and write long-form content, and it's kind of produced almost like blogs, but almost anyone can go there and write something on Medium for it. So he wrote this, and when I say he brought the receipts, Mr. Black, Medium estimates at the top of all the articles how long it would take you to read it. I think I didn't link it. I was going to link it so you could see just how lengthy this bitch is. 60 minutes is this read. An hour of straight reading for the average person to get through this carefully laid out. And it is immaculate. This man wrote a thesis. It's not like he went and just ran at night and just fucking slammed all this shit on a keyboard and pressed enter. This thing is immaculate. 60 minutes worth of text. Outlining everything. So many receipts as to why Stratton was lying through his teeth about literally everything that he brought up was bullshit, which is probably why he offered him 6 figures to not open his mouth and talk about it publicly. So he posted this whole thing, and now obviously Stratton, a bit of a clusterfuck, so to speak. I haven't personally seen if there's been any more development of this as to what is going to happen with Stratton or what is happening here with Mr. Mick Gordon. But needless to say, unlike the Helena Taylor situation, when people started reading this, they were like, okay, we're actually safe to defend Mick this time, because last time we defended Helena, and then as it turns out, we got burned to shit for defending Helena because she was lying the whole fucking time. And well, not lying, but technically saying things. Whereas this guy brought a tome, and it is emails, and it is contracts, and it is phone calls, and it is everything. And so lots of people coming to his defense. But it is if you want to read it, you can go and search it out. Not hard to find. One of the most talked about things in the gaming sphere this week. And very interesting. If you are interested in this stuff where you want to know what it's like, for example, even if you're not interested in this specific issue, what it does give you a glimpse into is just how chaotic AAA gaming development is, and just how many moving parts are constantly going, and how things can derail, and timelines constantly moving, and everyone is trying to meet together and make all of this work. And some people from the outside look at AAA and go, okay, so they just take $500 million, throw it at a wall, and God of War Ragnarok comes out the other side. And that's not at all how any of that goes. And Sony Santa Monica is probably one of the best examples of a well-oiled machine. So if you put that in the hands of let's say Bethesda, who I don't know if we would call it a well-oiled machine most of the days of the week. You might see why it would be a more of an average look into the industry as a whole. Very, very interesting read indeed. And definitely an hour. So, like, grab a coffee and whatever else. And if you're a slower reader, break that shit up into multiple sections because you're going to be there for a long fucking time. But yeah, just a good example of what it's like as a freelance worker in the video game industry. And I'm sure if you extrapolated this and applied it to the movies industry, if you're doing voiceover or soundtracks and things of that nature, it's probably similar. Timelines are insane. People keep asking you to change things. You probably want to make sure that you're getting people to sign 1,000 pieces of paper if they are asking you for this stuff, because I'm sure, like anyone, if they can get away with just asking you for it and not having another piece of paper, clearly they're just going to ask you for it so that they don't have to, like, you know, pay you more money or some other bullshit down the line. So definitely an interesting read for that indeed. And that's kind of... Oh, one more thing. Two more things, actually. One, Sonic came out, Frontiers. I can quickly say this. It came out. It's all over the map. I've seen, in the same spot on Twitter, 2 different posts. First one was reviewed a 7, second one was a 2. To give you an idea of how divisive that game is right now, you've got somebody, and again, on my stream, I talked about, if you see a game, just to put this into context, if you see a game given a 2, and it's a 10-point scale, run. Yeah, because nobody uses the 2 on a 10-point scale ever. Normally, it goes from a 5 straight to 1. There is no 4, 3, and 2. If you see those numbers, it means not only is the game dog shit, but it affected the player, the reviewer, in such a way that they actually wanted to be accurate with the number that they gave the review. Because otherwise, it goes from 5 to 1. It's never 4, it's never 3. So if it's a 2, that's technically worse than a 1. So maybe be cautious about it. But again, second, like the post right after, 7 out of 10. So fucking, I don't even know what to tell you. If you really love Sonic, I don't even know if that's the solution. Maybe if you don't like Sonic, this is the game for you. I don't know. Good luck. Maybe watch some shit on Twitch. This might be one of those times where you just go find somebody who is streaming this shit or making a YouTube video before you buy that thing, because it's all over the fucking map. It's absolutely insane. I will say this at the very least, that people did say, in general, from what I read, that as bad as the promotional material looked, it's not as bad as that. Except for the guy that gave it a 2. Clearly that guy fucking salty as shit about that game, giving it a 2 out of 10. And then lastly, for gaming news, Mass Effect news. It was N7 day this last week, and they released another teaser for Mass Effect 4. That's the upcoming. We talked about on the podcast how a long time ago now they finally learned their lesson that Andromeda was a bad idea, and they needed to get the fuck away from Andromeda. So what do? Go back to the trilogy that everyone loved and add a 4 to it. So that's what they're doing. So they put out, we already knew about the teaser from before. It was one picture. People were zooming in like fucking enhance, trying to like extract every ounce of information from every pixel on the poster. And now in this one, same thing's happening, but it was like some audio involved as well. And it appears as though, for this upcoming game, that it's happening within 10 years of Mass Effect 3. And that, for whatever reason, we're hearing, I think it's Liara's voice in these. It sounds like, despite the fact that we were to believe that all of the mass relays, which are the giant rings out in space that people were using to travel across vast areas of space, somebody has a working one somewhere. And that's kind of what it sounds like right now. So we're within 10 years, I think, of the trilogy, and a mass relay may or may not actually be working. That's about all that I've extracted out of this. Otherwise, Commander Shepard, my favorite game on the fucking Citadel, all the memes are all coming back because the cast and crew are returning. At least a few of them are anyway. And we'll see how it goes.
Is it on a new engine, or is it on the old engine?
I hope it's on a new engine, because Mass Effect 3 was... When did Mass Effect 3 come out? 2015? 14? It's been a while, so I would imagine. Now, EA is the overlord there. And so there's a really good shot that it is coming out on the Frostbite or whatever version of Frostbite the EA has been forcing every developer underneath of them to use now for about 10 years. Whether it was good, which is what happened to Andromeda, by the way. That was part of why Andromeda sucked some balls. That's part of why Dragon Age struggled with their release. EA said everyone is using Frostbite, and somebody at BioWare said, hey, so this actually doesn't have saves. There's no save point feature in this engine. How are we going to make an RPG without save points? And EA said, figure it out. And that's why you got a weird fucking Dragon Age and a weird fucking Mass Effect. Congratulations, EA. Actually, the problem largely for that. So hopefully, now that the tools are there, the engine has been used enough. If it is Frostbite or their more recent engines, that's what I would expect for this. It'll probably look pretty fucking good. I think everyone would like to hear Unreal 5 because we've all seen Unreal 5, and Unreal 5 looks fucking phenomenal. And so, you know, that would be, you know, hopeful, but depending on how long this game's already been in development, it's more likely going to be something out of EA's stable of unstable engines. We'll find out which one when it comes out. As long as it doesn't end up being so shit as Andromeda. Mass Effect used to be one of my favorite franchises, and then they just went and fucked it in the pussy. So as long as they don't fuck that up again, I mean, my God, you tried playing Mass Effect once, didn't you? You didn't. I think I lent you my Mass Effect games.
You lent me a copy,
and you just didn't. You just couldn't quite get into it. A little too slow.
Couldn't get into it. It was very slow.
That's true.
Like, it was
especially the first one.
Yeah, and I'm sure the deeper you get into the game, it probably speeds up and like. But there's so much fucking talking to NPCs and chilling and sitting and going. And you have to read through, and then you've got all these different options, and then there's side quests. And then I see a side quest, and I don't want to just go to the main quest because now I hate seeing a quest that I don't do. You know, it's like one of those things where it's I don't know.
It feels like it's a waste of time, or not a waste of time, but not what you're mostly interested in. Really,
exactly.
you want to just be like on a railroad almost, a little bit more linear.
A lot more linear.
Yeah.
But I don't mind taking. It's kind of like if you're walking down a hallway, and you know you got to get to the end of the hallway to leave the building. So you're like,
sounds
okay,
like Final Fantasy 13.
Exactly, right? which I enjoyed.
Yes, exactly. That's why.
Final Fantasy 13. Yeah. Okay, but as you're walking down this hallway, you know, and this is like the Mass Effect, or this is like the other like RPG type games that are just way too open. Walking down the hall, and you've got a door to your left, and in the door to your left, there's like, you know, two naked chicks, smoke shows, dime pieces, the girl of your dreams, and they're like, come on in and just, you've been walking for too long, come on in here and just fill me up. And you're like, okay, sure. But as you're about to go in the room, you turn around, and there's another door to the right side. And over there is like that one Japanese sushi restaurant that you've heard everything about, and it looks incredible, and you've got your own chef, and he's like, come on in and enjoy the best sushi of your life. Like this, you cannot not try the sushi. It's amazing. So then you're sitting here, you're looking at these two chicks that are saying, come on in here, come fill me up. And then you see the sushi over there. They're saying, come get your fill, come eat. And then you're trying to figure it out. So, but then, you know what? You're a man. So you think with your dick and you go inside the room. But as you go inside the room, there's another option to your left. All right. And this option is a private jet. You can go wherever you want in the world, free of charge. Choose. You can just go wherever. All expenses paid. Now you got to think, damn, you know, do I go? I'm going to do all of these things, but which one do I go to first? And then you go, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going on the jet. I can smash these chicks later. You get on the jet. And then the pilot looks at you and says, hey.
It's a one-way trip.
It's a one-way trip.
There's no going back to those chicks.
There's no coming back here. Then you go, okay, well, fuck it. Let me go get my sushi. Let me go smash these chicks, and then I'll come on the jet. So you leave, and you go to the chicks. You're like, all right, let's get it on. They're like, well, you need a condom.
You have to go back down the hall, but take the third door to your left. And then you go down there. And then it's a condom shop. But some of them have holes in them. And you're like, I can't do this.
That's a terrible condom shop.
So then you realize it's a horrible condom shop. But everybody in the game has been through this condom shop. And people have been picking them up, poking holes, being menaces and whatever. So now you're going, well, shit, now I got to figure out which one's got the hole. Which one can I not take? But in order to find that, you got to take it across the hall to another shop where they look at these under a light, a special light. But the light bulb is burnt out. So now you got to go down you got to go down a couple more meters down the hall to another door to go and get this special light. Okay, now you can get the light. Fantastic. You got it, but it costs 85 credits and you've got 10 credits and you're like, "Shit, I need to go grind some dudes so that I got to go grind some monsters." Or I got to go kill some monsters to get some credits.
All right. I mean, grinding dudes could have also been a very viable way to make 85 credits. I don't know. I mean, it depends.
I'm telling you. And so you decide, fuck it. You know what? Screw it. I'm not even going to smash the chicks. It's too much work. I'm just going to go and enjoy sushi. But now you go over to the sushi bar and the guy is off. You missed your opportunity. Now you got to wait till the morning for him to show back up. So you're like, well, shit. What am I going to do in the meantime? Well, I can't go on the trip.
Better go grind some dudes.
I got to go grind some dudes. So I may as well go do that. I guess I'm going back to go get this light because these guys, this chef ain't going to be back till night. So I guess I'll go grind these dudes. And then by the time I'm done grinding these dudes and I get my light, the chef is going to be open. So you go grind these dudes. You go get the light. You check out the condom. You go eat your fill. Then you go back over to go smash the chicks. You spend all that time. It's the time of the month. Now they don't want to smash. So you're like, okay, well, fuck it. Let me just keep walking down this hall a little bit to see what else. And then there's 17 other different side missions. Next thing you know it, you haven't even gone to the end of the hall to continue the main story arc. You haven't even started the game yet. That's how I feel about Mass Effect. That's how I feel about Mass Effect. I need, because all the options seem like good options.
I mean, yeah, sushi, hot chicks, grinding dudes. That's like the top 3 right there.
There it is. No discrimination. You do what you got to do. And you know what? And one of them is an alien chick. And you want to get up inside that. You got to try it out, right? So that's pretty much how I feel about Mass Effect. There's just too much. It's too much stimulation. It's too many options. I need it to be a little bit more linear. It's okay to go on like little tiny side quests and paths as long as it feels as though those are important to the story, and I feel like I'm progressing in the game. There is nothing worse than spending 20, 30 hours of a game doing side quests, and you haven't even done 5% of the main game. Maybe some people love that shit, and to those that do, hey, get lost in the sauce, baby. Enjoy it. For me, I'm just too ADHD to friggin' I can't. I have to. I need direction. I need a little bit more linear. I need to feel like the story is progressing. I can't do 20 hours. I forget what the last thing I did. It's like, dude, I feel like I'm playing a different game. They're like, yeah, welcome. I heard you've been looking for a key. And I'm like, what fucking key? I don't even remember. It's like, I gotta record my footage and go back and watch what I did 40 hours ago to figure out exactly where I went in the specific door, in the specific house, in the specific hallway at the specific time. It's too much. It's too much.
Yeah, I agree. Mass Effect 1 was just slow for a bunch of reasons, but that's definitely one of them, is like how much side questing and stuff there is. Like it's and that era of adventure games too was really bad for that shit, because everyone had started getting the we hadn't quite hit peak Assassin's Creed shit yet, but it was right before then. So like we got a lot of side quests that took you off course, and again, I'm the same. Like I'd forget what the fuck I was doing. I don't even know what the main story is anymore. And I also found it really funny because in Mass Effect, you're on a bit of a timeline, especially like 3. Like there's an impending war coming, and you manage to find 30 hours of gameplay worth of shit to do that has nothing to do really with preparing you for this war. You're just like, I know this is war, but hold up, I gotta go grab this sushi and smash these girls and grind these dudes. And somebody says, but we're actually, but Commander Shepard, the universe will come to an end if we don't get this shit done right now. And you're like, yeah, but sushi.
Yeah.
And so I would like, I like it when games do a better job of taking side quests and merging it with the main quest line.
Yes.
So you're still technically doing
the main
in the same
quest-ish.
direction.
Exactly.
But you don't veer so far off that you forget what the shit you were doing when you eventually come back on the main path. I don't necessarily want Final Fantasy 13. That was literally just a straight line.
It's too linear. I get it.
Yeah.
Especially in a genre of Final Fantasy where like you're used to an open world. I think if they would have done 50% of like your regular open world Final Fantasy, then it would have played better. As a Final Fantasy game, it became a bit too much like an action RPG, like a too almost like, I don't want to say Devil May Cry like, but it was very linear, very action packed, and that's fine. I enjoyed it, but I could have done for a little bit more of what you're saying.
Yeah.
A little extra. Just don't go crazy.
That's why I liked a good example before we move on here, because we're getting up on 6, but the comparison of like old Zelda games versus something like Breath of the Wild. So like Ocarina of Time, there were side quests or Majora's Mask. There were loads of masks you didn't necessarily have to get, but if you got them, it was cool, and they actually still would. They came in handy to some degree. You didn't have to have them to finish the dungeons, but it might have made them easier, etc., etc. And it all felt like it was still part of the same thing. And then you get to like Breath of the Wild, and they're like, "Here's 900 Korok seeds. I'm gonna put them all over the fucking map. Go have fun." Or like other games where it's like a fetch quest. It's like, I need 3 grapes, and these grapes are in the Himalayas hiding up where the monks fucking, chill on a daily basis, and it'll take you 5 hours to get there, and then you get like 5 gold on the other end for doing this quest, and it doesn't do anything but just have you spend time going from point A to point B. Like, there's too much of that shit. So like, closer to how older games did, and probably by necessity, where, an entire cartridge of N64, I think, was like 32 fucking megabytes or some shit. So it's like they couldn't put the Assassin's Creed open the map, and it looks like Liberace vomited on the map with all of the dots and fucking points of interest and collectible feathers and fucking all that shit. So like, more Nintendo 60, again, I've already been here before today, but more Nintendo 64, less of whatever the shit this mid-2000s, late 2010 design philosophy. It's too much. Back off on it. We just want sushi and then go on a ship. That's really all we're looking for.
Oh, we want to smash too.
Well, yeah. But we don't need the 85 gold condom shop.
We don't.
Especially if they're all full of holes.
It's unnecessary. I'd rather just go deep inside and take my chances. Seriously.
Now there's another side quest. Oops, you're pregnant.
There it is.
There it is. I think that is it for the gaming segment, which means it's time to sell out. Mr. Black, tell everyone about our one and only and greatest sponsor, NordVPN.
Well, first, we're going to go to patreon.com/lagtv. If you want to continue to support the podcast, if you want to still see it, go show some love. If you can't, that's totally fine. You don't need to throw money at the screen. You can support the sponsor. And if you can't support the sponsor, then you can hit the like button. You can share a podcast. You can, I don't know, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, whatever it is that YouTube is trying to get you to do these days.
I don't even know anymore, bro.
Draw your blood and give your firstborn son up. But yeah, you can do all those things. But if you do have the means and you want to support the podcast, you can do that through sponsor as well, NordVPN. You can click the link in the description below, or you can go to Nord, so NordVPN.com/OTT. Use the promo code OTT and get yourself a very, very sizable discount and 4 bonus months for a limited time. when you use that promo code. Guys, stay safe, stay anonymous on the internet. Watch different regions of Netflix and other streaming services. Watch region block content like stuff on Twitter. You could do that. If you can't watch the latest video, you can mask your IP and bada boom. You can say you're from, I said Turkey last time. Let's go with Australia. Let's go with New Zealand. You know, you can be from New Zealand and you can watch content that's blocked on Twitter, YouTube, websites. You can watch other regions of Netflix that have different shows and movies. You can all do that at a click of a button. You don't have to be a programmer. You don't have to be a coder or an engineer or any of these other, you know, critically thinking geniuses that try and work out math. It's I can do it. All right. I can do it. All right. And I have proven many times that I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. If I can use it, you can use it. All right. So head on over there, pick it up, get your subscription. If you get a two-year or more subscription, you will get that 4 bonus months and 30-day money-back guarantee, which means for whatever reason, if you don't like the service, okay, if you're like, hey, the servers aren't fast enough, which they are. Hey, I can't game on them, which you can. Hey, I'm having buyer's remorse. 30-day back, money back guarantee. You just get your money back within 30 days, okay? So try it out. I know a lot of you guys have renewals coming up. You can renew with the same promo code and get the discount as well. So a big thank you to those that have been renewing and getting that. And you can use up to 6 simultaneous devices. So you only need 1 account per household. It's less than a cup of coffee a month. No joke. And it's 2022. We're about to be in 2023. Okay.
Ugh.
It's a digital world. Straight up. The less and less crime is going to be happening in brick and mortar, and it's happening online. Virtual cybercrime. Stay safe, guys. Stay anonymous. Okay. Hey, listen, man.
I'm just getting pictures of like cybercrime. I'm getting like pictures of elite hacker man in a fucking trench coat with like fucking Matrix shit on screen.
You know what though? A lot of the time, that's not even it. What it is, it's that dude sitting at Starbucks, sitting down there sipping on his grande cinnamon dolce latte because he doesn't have NordVPN, and he's sitting there, and he's stealing your information. He's gathering your IP. He's getting your information. He knows where you're searching, what you look for, what you do, where you're from, getting your credit card information, all that stuff. I'm definitely just scaring everybody right now. But
this basically never happens, but it could.
But it could.
It
so
could.
Be prepared. All right. It's like those guys that buy bunkers, right? And they fill it up with like $10,000 worth of like canned goods and different things. Yes, just in case doomsday happens, you know. And the way the world is going, it might actually happen. So, you know, get yourself NordVPN, guys, okay? Maybe the dude at Starbucks isn't going to necessarily steal your stuff. But if you are traveling and you are in public Wi-Fi places, you do leave yourself, and all jokes aside, you leave yourself vulnerable for people to take your shit. I'm not joking. Like, that's just reality. And use NordVPN. It's right available on your phone, your TV, your laptop, your Mac, your PC, your whatever. They've got an app for everything, and it's one click of a button. So stay safe. Plus, maybe you're doing a bunch of downloads. Maybe you're torrenting some things. I don't know. You can mask your IP so that it ain't you. It ain't you who's doing it. Protect yourself, guys. Hey, if you're on the dark web and you're doing some dark web things, don't use your regular IP. All right? Protect yourself. Use NordVPN.
And Tor browser.
And Tor browser.
Not a hashtag ad for Tor browser, by the way.
It's definitely not what is Tor browser? I actually don't know what it is.
It's actually the Onion. It's literally what you would want to use to actually access the dark web.
Oh, okay.
Don't go there, by the way.
Don't go there.
Definitely, not even recreationally.
Yeah, don't go there.
No.
Stay far away from there.
With or without NordVPN, stay the fuck out the dark web. Yeah. It's a bad
Stay
place.
away. It's a place you don't want to be. It's an evil place. It's a scary place.
It's like meth, not even once. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
In fact, you probably find some meth if you went on the dark web.
And if you went on the dark web, you could probably find some and other things that you probably shouldn't be.
Not that we're
dabbling in.
associating meth with NordVPN, which is exactly why we're going to stop that ad before it gets even worse. And move on to
movies and TV.
very brief 2 things. Gears of War finally announced. Thank God it's not going to Paramount. It's going to Netflix. It's a Netflix movie. Followed up by what they're calling an adult animated thing, which really sounds like porn, but in reality they trust probably means something like the Castlevania anime where they were allowed to say fuck and hack people's heads off because it's Gears of War and they're going to require to dismember some people with chainsaws. And so that's probably what they're actually leaning for. And now the question is this finally Dave Bautista's chance? It's only been forever. He's been campaigning to play Marcus Phoenix for the longest fucking time, or at
It's
least,
time.
or the Marcus's friend, I can't remember his name. Either way, get him in there. It'll be criminal not to put him in there at this point. Especially
Yeah,
now that he has, he's done Netflix work before already. He's got a relationship with Netflix and Netflix films. He's juiced to the gills. He's got some acting experience now.
Bruh. He's 100% already in. I can guarantee it. Why the hell did ADT call me? I hope to the
That can't be good.
Because the last time these motherfuckers called me, a fire truck ended up coming here at my house.
Oh.
So, anyway. It says it's for ADT sales, so maybe it's not.
Oh, maybe it's we've got a new service we'd like to hook you
thank
up
you.
with. It's
Yeah,
got to
no,
be his time, right?
I think they're announcing this because they probably already have Dave Bautista.
That's
and they
true.
just haven't announced it yet.
Yeah.
Right? I think that this thing gets greenlit with Dave Bautista. Because he's been campaigning, like you said. And he's already in that Netflix umbrella, like you said. And let's be real. Dave Bautista is far more a TV star than he is a movie star.
Yeah.
As of right now. And I'm not diminishing Dave Bautista's
there are worse actors than Dave Bautista.
Oh, for sure. For sure. But I think he really shines as a movie TV actor. And I don't mean that on primetime TV. I'm talking like a Netflix and HBO, something with some really good directing talent, some good writing. And he can elevate what would normally be sort of cheesy content into something that is respectable and is consumable from the masses and actually make it worthwhile. I think Dave Bautista is in that zone where he can take mid and make it good. And because he's just not an A-list actor. Dave Bautista is not he's not a movie star. Yes, he's kind of co-starred in films, but bigger movies than himself, Like if you're part of Guardians of the Galaxy or you're part of Dune or you're part of whatever other films that there is, he's got to work with some amazing directors. He's gotten so much better as an actor. He seems like a really good guy as well. Give him this. Let him run with this. Let him be the star of this. And you never know. This might be his Witcher, where
that's what I was about to say. This is like, Henry loves The Witcher. He loves Gears of War.
Yeah, it's a match made in heaven. If he's not in it,
Who?
I don't know. If it's anybody else, it's and I think it would either be and to be on the wrestling side, I think it'd be like a John Cena.
But John can't be Marcus. I mean,
No.
that would be brutal.
It would be. I just think Dave Bautista is Marcus. Like if you were to turn it into a live action film,
Yeah.
I don't know any other person that could play that role. And maybe like the Mountain, if he actually could act, but you can't put the whole show on a dude that doesn't really speak in his films or shows, and he's just a big dude. You can put him in there and he can be one of the soldiers and one of the team members and whatever, right? Or even an enemy, but you can't. This is Dave Bautista's role. My guess is he's already on, and the only way he's not is if he said no.
Yeah.
Like if he's like, no, I don't like the script, or I don't like, you know, and what other conflict does he have in terms
He's
of
not
like
working really on anything right now that
Guardians
I know of.
is done now, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, this is it.
I would say, you know, if this was like, I think it didn't happen for a number of reasons, but, you know, if this was, you know, 6-7 years ago and Dave hadn't really gotten any of the experience that he's had and he didn't have a working relationship with Netflix and all that shit, then yeah, then I could be like, okay, maybe they gave this to somebody else. But with all of those factors, if it's not, I couldn't, like, my brain wouldn't be able to comprehend why they wouldn't have gone with them unless, like you said, for whatever reason, he said no, which I doubt would ever be the case.
I doubt. Let him take this and run with it. I think I would watch the shit out of this. And I can't say that with another star, depending on who it would be, I'm not sure I'd actually watch it. And I sincerely mean that because, dude, I still haven't watched Lord of the Rings. Like,
neither have I.
You know, like it takes a lot for me to watch a show these days because number one, I gotta make time for it. And then number two, it's got to be a show that myself and my wife can enjoy because I don't really have time to watch long formatted shows, 10-hour shows by myself. And then number three is it's got to interest me because there's so many options out there. Dave Bautista gets me watching this on Netflix, 100%.
You know what gets me watching it regardless? John Wick 4 trailer today dropped. I'm assuming you saw it as fast as I did. I clicked that shit. I ain't clicked something so fast in my fucking life. I hit that shit at Mach 4, thought I broke my fucking laptop. Nope, booted right up on YouTube. Just took an extra minute because that laptop's older than hell. Put it full screen, immediately erect. From beginning to end, I'm still walking. As I stand here now, I have an erection. It will not go away for at least 2 to 3 more days. Everything about that trailer was a W. The people that they showed off, holy shit. I want to see all of that all the time. Conceptually, you know, we've been waiting to see, you know, what it is exactly that he's going to be able to do. Obviously, they have to give him an out. Otherwise, what's the point of the movie? What is his out going to be? And then they drop the thing. It's like, I'm not at the table, or I don't sit at the table. And the guy says, yeah, but your family does. And I'm like, what? Now I'm baited. Now I'm like, who the fuck? What family member does John Wick have sitting at the table? And then how does this play out? And it looks like he's literally going to have to, the whole movie is going to be him getting to a destination before a time limit to have a duel, like a literal, looked like an old-fashioned ass duel. They opened up the duel, like the gun case, the 2 guns were there. It looks like he's going to have to like literally have one man walks away from it. And maybe this is how he ends up sitting at the table or gets elevated, but he'd probably turn it down because otherwise why would you continue John Wick at that point? So I'm interested. It all looked good. It's Donnie Yen in this bitch. And that scene, you know what I love about Donnie Yen? He can go through a whole fucking action sequence that's insane. And I mean, you know, Keanu is quite good, but Donnie Yen is like a different fucking animal. But he is stone-faced the whole time. You can't see him breathe. He just looks deadpan-faced the whole time. He's doing crazy-ass shit physically. And it looks 1,000 times more badass because it looks like he's putting in 0 effort the entire time. I'm in. I'm excited. I mean, I like John Wick in general anyway. I do hope that we talked about before, and it looks like maybe that's the case. There will be a little bit more story or lore and not just here's one action scene and then here's another action scene and then now he's on a horse and then now he's on a bike. And so hopefully we do get more of that. But what did you think about that trailer?
I'm not as enthusiastic as you, but it wasn't a bad trailer. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing it. But yeah, once again, I'm not over John Wick, but I'm not on the John Wick dick train anymore. So like, you know, it's John Wick is starting to remind me of Call of Duty, where it's like, I know what I'm getting. I'm getting a lot of this. Like,
at least just spread out like a little bit. Like it could be worse, I guess.
Of course. But I mean,
I get what you're saying.
It's just one of these things where I feel like I'm just going to get more of the same. And at this point, I don't want more of the same. I want more, but different. I just want more actually, because we're not getting. I mean, this could be different for this, and maybe they are gonna go deeper into the world of this, and listen to the fans. But something tells me, with all the talent they have in this is probably just going to be, this is turning into like a very smaller, way smaller budget Fast and the Furious, where they're just bringing in like a new. It's kind of like the Expendables. You remember when all of those started coming out, and it was like, hey, who can we bring in this time to like spice things up and see Keanu fight this person or this person or that person, which I'm not against. I mean, this is dumb fun, really high octane action, amazing set pieces. I'm with it. I just hope that they do more with the story. And I also hope that the choreography is a little bit better. I thought that the choreography fell substantially in the last film, where I could see them just doing the moves and not doing the motions, like it doesn't feel as natural. It feels very very choreographed. And it was almost as if they didn't have enough time to really get those moves down. In some scenes, flawless, but in the scenes that was not flawless, it was like, ooh, I could really see the guy in the back just kind of standing there waiting for his cue. And I did not like that. And it's probably that way because they're cranking these out relatively quickly. And they also got to try and make different fight scenes look a little different, and you only can do so much when you're going on your fourth film,
and they're doing wide angle shots too. Like they're really stacking the deck against themselves here.
They don't do a million small close in jump cuts.
Somebody brought in a big ass camera and just put wide ass shit and said, all right,
go.
And
that's what you should do. But if you don't do that correctly, all of your mistakes get seen. And
exactly.
I'm just one of those viewers that like sees the shit, and it takes me out of the movie knowing that like this is a movie and these guys aren't really hitting each other and they're just play fighting. It's like, it's harder for me to stay. It's not saying I can't enjoy it at all, but there are times where it just takes me out. And the last movie, there was like at least 5 scenes where I was like, oof, you probably should have done another take. I wasn't really feeling that. So hopefully they can curb all those. And with Donnie in this, maybe he might say, I need perfection. I'm not.
For his scenes, at least.
For at least his scenes.
Yeah. And I think it brought up I think Pryron brings up a good point. I think 2 and 3 were. I also remember this. I think it was back to back, right? Like they filmed 2 and 3 back to back. So I think that's probably also where you're going to get a little bit of that sneaking in. That's a long, grueling. If you think about the amount of physical work for to do John Wick 2 and 3 back to back. It's not exactly a small task to do, so I'm sure there was a lot of fatigue. People were just like, you hit the end of it, and it'd be tough for sure. And it's not like Keanu's a fucking spry chicken. The man's like friggin' 50 years old. So,
like most of them, I mean,
most of them are older.
Majority of the actors are there. There's like no young. I think in this trailer, the guy that he's going to duel seems to be pretty young. Like he seems like he's in his 30s. Or late 20s, probably his early 30s.
Everyone else is retired.
Everybody else is like, middle-aged. We're talking like 50 plus years old.
Yeah.
Like no joke.
And so to do that, so maybe like again, like you were saying, maybe. With that being said, maybe this will be better because it's not a back-to-back situation. I don't think they're not doing they didn't say they're doing like 4 or 5 or some shit.
I don't think so. I think this is 4. I'm sure they're gonna do up to 6 now. I mean, can't stop on 4, right?
Not if it keeps making money, you can't. And not until Keanu's 75 and they have to start doing jump cuts. They got to keeping the train going. But yeah, I'm excited about it mostly because I'm hopeful that they are going to have more lore involved. If it's like 3, like you, I'll like it, but I would want more from it. But I'll at least enjoy it.
For sure.
Which for movies these days, I don't enjoy all that many movies that I've watched, a handful.
And it's not hard to enjoy John Wick. I mean, dude, it's Keanu Reeves. It's got a bunch of other amazing action stars. It's a I don't want to, fuck it, I'm just going to say it. it's a guy film.
It is.
It is a dude film through and through. I'm not saying that girls can't enjoy it, guys, before you shit on me. All right, I understand.
It's meant for a very
but
specific demographic.
this ticks every fucking box. There's hot chicks, there's lots of guns, there's cool suits, there's awesome action set pieces, there's fucking swords. I mean, there's crazy music, and your favorite childhood action stars are all in there doing shit. Bro, you can't really go wrong. I know that this could be a literal masterpiece if they just gave us a little bit more story and just took a little bit more time.
And does anyone, just to wrap that up, does anyone or has anyone since John Wick became a series done action better than John Wick?
I think that there has been shows and films that have taken things from John Wick and have done well with them.
Yeah.
But John Wick is in its whole it's in another genre almost. It is quite literally Keanu just going around killing people, two-tapping them, and that's that. There has been lots of great action though in many shows, and I think a lot of that has to do with John Wick and the style that they've kind of bit off him. But nobody has done John Wick as good as John Wick yet.
No, that's very true. All right, well, that's it. Unless you've got something else for movies and TV, we got a couple minutes to talk about some questions. And then
I watched Love Island, or not Love Island.
Oh, right.
Love is Blind, man. The new Love is Blind.
So are you done the whole season?
Done the new season.
All right, so compared to the other seasons, where does this rank in the pantheon of Love is Blind?
Number one. This is number one.
Really?
Oh, this is number one.
Really?
This is the best Love is Blind, bro. I'm not even going to give any spoils. But dude, what a train wreck. And I'm telling you, the last scene, bro, I'm telling you. And I know I've been hyping up these shows. Okay? I get it. The last scene from the reunion. So there's a reunion show.
Of course, there's always a reunion for those shows.
And then when the credits hit, it's like a fucking Marvel film. The credits hit.
There was an after the credits scene?
There's a scene that happens at the end of the show that they show. And I'm telling you, bro, the shit was like an M. Night Shyamalan film.
No.
Where I said, oh my God. I had to go on social media. I never do this shit. I had to go on social media and just see everybody's reaction. Because the way that the shit panned out, and there's some villains in the season, and bro, let's just say this. One of the people that like you're on their side and you're like, yeah, you go. Yeah. And then there's a guy that like, fuck you. All right. You know, fuck you. And then bro, the producers just straight up fucking pulled just the curtain down. And they said, hey, and it was genius how they did it. And they did it in a way that they wanted you to know that they didn't edit anything. So when the show was over, they played like a 3 or 4 minute clip, unedited, to the point where you were seeing a bunch of shit where you're like, I kind of knew where it was going, but I'm like, no. And as they're showing it, they show the whole lead up so that you know that they're not editing anything, so that they're making you think a certain way. They show it all. And bro, the last line that was said, and then they just fade to black, bro. I was like, oh my God, that might have been the greatest reality TV twist I have ever seen. It's amazing, bro.
Well, now
it's amazing.
I don't know when I'm gonna find time, and M goes away out west here coming up.
Find the time, bro. I don't care if you got to watch it by yourself, bro. I'm telling you, what you
we haven't even finished House of Dragons yet. Like we're like halfway through that shit,
dude. Okay, you got to finish House of Dragons before
it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah,
but bro, for those watching. Love is Blind, season 3. Okay? Please watch the reunion. Okay? Watch the reunion and then wait till the very end, and it's gonna blow your fucking mind. It was to the point I looked at Kayla. Kayla looked at me, and I don't even think she knew what it was. She was trying to process what was going on, and I'm like, did that just happen? She's like, what? I'm like, you didn't hear what the fuck they just said. You didn't, what? So I had to, and then I explained to her, and then we watched, she's like, oh my God. I went on social media, bro. Everybody's like, oh, it's like a twist. It was an M. Night Shyamalan twist. And the reason why it was
a good M. Night Shyamalan twist.
It was an amazing M. Night Shyamalan twist.
Okay, all right, okay.
But it's gonna piss off the vast majority of the viewers. Like, one person goes from a hero to a villain, and it's to the point. It's like it's like watching a spy film where like shit is going on, and you're like, oh man, this is so predictable. I already know how this is gonna end. And then the movie ends, and then a credit scene comes up, and they go, well, everything that you thought, it was wrong. And you were upset. I wasn't upset. I was thoroughly entertained. I mean, I was like, man, this is amazing. But when I went on social media, bro, people were mad. And people were mad because they got tricked. Like when you get got and you're the mark, and like you don't even know you are, and then you realize that you got played, and you defended this person, and you went to bat for this person, and you realize that this person's actually the villain, and I mean, dude, come on. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, another great sales pitch for a reality TV show by one Mr. Maximus Black. So if you haven't already seen it, it appears to be that Love is Blind. Is this season 3?
Season 3.
I think. Is the new king of reality television available?
Temptation Island is still
available on
tier.
Netflix.
Yeah, Temptation Island is still God tier, but I will say this Love is Blind season, it's rivaling some Temptation Island. Okay. It's rivaling some and the twist at the end is the best thing that I loved it because I didn't see it coming. When you fool me, and I watch a ton of this shit, and I feel like I'm good. I feel like I'm good at reading people, and I feel like I'm good at like, okay, this guy is full of shit. This girl is full of shit. Whatever. But when you can dupe me like that, and you can do it in such a way that is just so fucking conniving and manipulative, and like, bro, it's the W. And the producers get the big W. They get the big W.
They gotta find a way to fucking spice it up. There's a lot of competition in this market now.
It's been spiced.
So does this carry into another, like, do they think, does this spin off into something? Like, how like it's great that they do it, but to end it on that, how do they extract more value out of that twist?
I haven't gone to social media and like looked at the individuals that were part of the show, because even everybody that's on the show had no idea. Only one person really knew. Really, two people knew. The couple really knew the truth, but everybody was siding with one person. And it was the one person that you sided with. It's not what it looks like. It's not what it looks like. And so I think that there's going to be an update. I mean, Love is Blind has got to do some sort of update. Where are they now? Shit in like the next God knows how long, because that shit was it was glorious.
Well, I will add it to our list of things to watch. All right, let's get a couple of questions in real quick. It's time for
tech support.
Patreon.com/LagTV if is the place to go if you want to continue to financially support this podcast and keep the train going. That's the place to do it. And for $10 or more each month, you get a couple of perks. Chiefly, you get the opportunity to ask us some questions. We give you the answers here in the in tech support. Post a post up on Patreon. Call it tech support. You put your questions there. We give you some answers. Let's see here. What the fuck? It's a random one, but it's probably a quick one. If Axwell asks, if you had to go into a fight in the octagon, who would you rather fight? Dwayne Johnson, the Mountain, or Henry Cavill?
Say that question again.
If you had to fight someone in the octagon amongst these three, who would you choose to fight in the octagon? Dwayne Johnson, The Mountain, or Henry Cavill? I gotta go Henry Cavill. Yeah, Dwayne has enough wrestling experience, and he's enormous and incredibly fucking athletic, like insanely athletic, that he's dangerous even if he's not a professional fighter. The Mountain is literally The Mountain,
You're not gonna hurt the Mountain. You're just gonna punch the dude,
and it's not gonna do anything.
You're gonna bitch slap you, and
now he's got boxing experience. So even if he's not a great boxer, but if you have zero experience and he has some, and he's The Mountain,
you're dead.
You're dead. Henry Cavill, you get a shot. The dude's in good shape. You know, I don't think he looks like the most athletic guy I've ever seen in my life. Naturally, he's probably pretty athletic to be in these movies and be in the shape that he's in. But it's, you know, he's not The Mountain, and he's not Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that.
It's you know, and bonus points if he comes into the octagon and cocks his fists.
Yeah, there you go. Give me that. Sure.
This is topical, and it is from Jeff's tweet here or earlier today. Fresh to Death Batman said, topical, what's your greatest IRL bluff? I think he's referencing your attempt at bluff in that last poker match.
My biggest IRL bluff. Ooh.
It's gotta have to do with like a fucking garage sale deal or some shit. That's gotta be the category that it's in, right? Like I don't know what else.
No, man. I'm probably gonna go with a car purchase. Where when I bought my Mercedes, I was in the process of getting an M4, and I really wanted the M4 because I never really cared.
You wanted the
about
gold
the C6.
M4, if I'm not mistaken.
I would have taken it, yeah, but they didn't have it. So but they had an M4. It was like a bluish M4, and I said I wanted a discount. They didn't want to do it. So when I went to Mercedes, I told them that like, hey, like we negotiated for a while. I said, listen, this is the price that I need to get it at, because if not, I am literally leaving this place right now, and I am driving a block down to BMW, and I'm buying the M4. It's up to you. Like
that's the classic car dealership fleas too. It's like, and what are they going to do? Gamble on that? Like what?
It's up to you, right? And like I knew I wanted to C63 because once I took it for a test drive, it's just like, oh, okay, this is just a different beast. So I was like, you know, I knew I wanted the car, and so I was like, yeah, that's just that. And lo and behold, GM came out and was like, okay, Mr. Johnston, we can do this for you. You know, this is the best deal I've ever given on this car, but we hope that you're going to enjoy it, you know, and that you'll continue to buy with us in the future. I said, yeah, absolutely. Shook his hand and bought the car. And I've done that. I've done that with my wife's car. I've done that with my car. Because at the end of the day,
I did that with my car. It really should be in your pocket for any car purchase is to go to another dealership that's another, like a totally different brand. And ideally, especially in Halifax, you have to be careful, owned by a different family, because there's like 3 families that own every fucking car dealership in the city. So you could make the mistake of going in and be like, I went over here to Mazda and talk to them. And they're like, bitch, we own that Mazda.
Yeah. You giving me the money anyway, motherfucker.
Yeah. But yes, that's the major, you have to. It's one of the biggest haggling pieces that you have, especially in these times where everyone's desperate to sell fucking cars, even though there's like no fucking inventory, they're still desperate. You got to have that in your pocket.
And it was December, you know, it was like end of the year.
End of year
like,
inventory.
I do it all, man. I'm so greasy.
I did mine in September too.
Yeah, so like I just don't care. Like I'm going to go, listen, man, if I'm going to spend a lot of money on a vehicle, I'm going to try and get the most I can out of it every time. And if I got to bluff a little bit to get it, it is. And here's the thing. I have such an ego that like if he called my bluff, I might have bought the fucking BMW. I'm not joking. Like depending on how he told me
And my mind was already set. Like I was already owned this C63. But if he said, no, we're just not going to do it, go buy the BMW, I probably would have left and bought the BMW. Because that's just how I am. Now, if he said, you know what, I'm so sorry, we can't do this. I really wish we could. Like, I'm terribly sorry, man. Like, it is what it is. I'd be like, okay, man, that's fine. And I might have went home and then hoped that I got a call. And I've done this many, many times. Like I've bluffed. There's some other things I don't really want to say like on here, but this isn't the first time where I have bluffed and said, I'm not going to get this if I don't get this, and they crack. And a lot of the time is, okay, fine. I've been told no straight up to my face, and they're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, all right, see ya. And I leave. And then I get a phone call a day later, 2 days later, 3 days later. Hey, Mr. Johnson, are you still in the market for this? Yes. Okay, well, good news. I spoke to such and such. We can do it at this. I know it's not quite where you wanted it, but it's close. I'm sorry, man. I needed to get it at this. It is what it is. Okay, you know what? I'll do it. I remember when I bought my wife her first car, the Honda, like her first new car. I haggled them so hard. I think I've said this before. I haggled the guy so hard, and I got such a deal on this vehicle. Like I got almost $8,000 off on a Honda. Okay, there ain't no margins on these fucking cars, bro.
No,
they make their money on the service. But I got $8,000 off a Honda, right? And they tried every fucking thing, and it got to the point where I was such a stickler because I knew I had them. It's the end of December. They need to get their quota. They're paying money. I know how this works. And I told them, I said, okay, we got the car where I want it, but now I want winter tires on rims, separate tires on rims, and I want mats in the car, snow mats. And I shit you not, bro, I felt bad for 2 seconds. The guy said, my boss will not do it, but I am going to pay for it out of pocket because his commission was worth more than what he had to put in. So if he didn't put it in, he wasn't going to get the sale. And so he put it in. He literally took me to the service desk, pulled out his own wallet, and put it on his own debit or credit card for the mats because the service would cover the tires, but they wouldn't cover the mats. And he paid for it himself to get the deal. So I don't know if I'm the bad guy there or he's the hero. And he understands the power of, getting a piece of it instead of getting nothing. He gets the sale, he gets the commission, he gets all that, and he's a closer. So shout outs to that guy. And I'm a hard ass, and he got my money. Because if not, somebody else would have got my money.
I definitely have never fleeced anyone that fucking hard. And I don't think I bluff very often because if I tell somebody in the middle of a deal that I actually have one and I'm willing to go, it normally means that that's actually something that happened. It's like, look, I would like this. This is my preference, but I like money. So if I go down here and buy that, I'm going to be comfortable with it if you can't get me this deal. It's not a bluff. I'm just telling them up front, what the situation is. My for the car that I drive right now, it wasn't. They weren't giving me their own fucking clothes off their back, but the closer for that was, so I got $5,000 off the RAV plus the extended warranty for $1 instead of like $1,300 or $1,400. Then I got all winter tires with steel rims.
Yeah.
And one of the, I can't remember all the deal anymore because it was like a 3-week process. And at the end, I said, the guy said, one of our techs needs a car to get him through the winter. We'll do this. We just need you to sell them your Focus for like fucking like $300. And I said, okay. Focus wasn't worth $300. So I gave us, the car literally broke down in the Joseph Howe intersection on the way to pick up the fucking RAV. So I knew it wasn't worth $300. So, but I said, hey, if it's a mechanic, they can make it work for the winter.
There you go.
Have fun. It is. It wasn't really a bluff, but that was the closest I get because I rarely bluff. I'm just up front. I'm just like, look, I'm not going to spend more than this amount of money, so either you have it or you don't. I just don't, I don't like wasting my own time by trying to like dicker too much. Because like you, I know how they work. I'm there at September. They have to clear inventory. They have to make quota. Everything is a fucking like gong show. So everyone knows. There's no like, everyone knows what's going on at the table. So I just say, look, this is.
Let's just cut the shit. This is what I need.
This is it.
And you got the sale. If you can't do it,
that's it. I'm walking.
I gotta walk, and then they go fuck because the average day person that goes in, they don't do this type of negotiation. They go in, they say, "Hey, how much can you afford a month?" And then that's that, and they sell you on this, and they sell you on these extra warranties, and you go in that second room. All right, yeah, before you sign papers, John here, our finance specialist, is gonna go through all this paperwork, and that's when they spew a whole bunch of shit on you. I make sure I get through all that before we even get into the room. When I go in that room, they're like, "Oh, it looks like we are providing you with extended warranty, and your first 3 years of oil changes are on the house, and you've got this, and your undercoating will be ready for you at this date." And I've already got all this shit done.
That's the way to do it. Take notes. That's the way to do it. Just to quickly answer the follow-up question you had there about me posting a lot more basketball content. Any reason for that? I left basketball for a long time. I played basketball for 15 years. I fucking love me some basketball. I left watching and participating in basketball because I hated where the game of basketball went. One pass, three-pointer was like fucking half a decade worth of basketball. That was the entire game of basketball. And then it got even worse because then the positions I played, 4 and 5, were turned into stretch 4 and 5s, which is just a really fancy way of saying even the power forwards and centers went out to the three-point line and shot threes. Like there was almost no actual basketball being played, very little defense, very little offense. It was just, not to say that it's not impressive to see Steph Curry shoot a three-pointer from the fucking stamp and just, fucking hit like 87-foot shots on the regular. Impressive. The problem was it completely destroyed the league for me. So now that that's coming back a bit, basketball is kind of returning. The Spurs are playing Spurs basketball again. The Celtics are kind of like an old school team as well. Giannis Antetokounmpo is forcing people to actually use bigs as bigs again. There's a reason for me to watch basketball again. It's not perfect, but it's closer, and that's why you're seeing a lot more from me on that. Last question, because I know Mr. Black has places to be, and it's already 6:30. Even I've got to pick up him. Les asks, I think this is the first time I've seen a question from Les, if I'm not mistaken. So welcome, Les, and thank you for the question. Gentlemen, looking for suggestions when it comes to games that will both get my girlfriend more into gaming as well as get better at them. He said she really sucks. Oh, it's a good thing she doesn't listen to this podcast. Keep up the awesome content. Thank you, Les. That's a really hard question, and I don't know if there's a real answer for it. You gotta just throw shit at a wall and see what sticks. I went through that with my first girlfriend, and it was nightmare material. Fucking very difficult to do because you're in a situation where you're with a significant other who wants to enjoy the same hobby as you do, and they're going to make the effort, but if they have zero video game experience and you're trying to work them into that, it is a grueling, unfun, largely challenging thing to do. And to sit, like most people will say, oh, well, get them on the girly games first, and and then work them into like something else. But it's super fucking hard to do. I will say this much at the very least. If she has zero gaming experience, any game that requires them to use both analog sticks simultaneously is off the table immediately. People that have been gaming for a while take for advantage or take for granted how much difficulty it is, especially if you haven't done it when you were a kid, to map your brain to two analog sticks at the same time. It is not a natural thing for most people to do. So stick to games that just use one analog stick and the D-pad. Top-down games are good for that oftentimes. Some older games are usually good for it, clearly, because they didn't use two analog sticks. But you got to start somewhere where they're not going to feel like they're on fire from day one, because I made that mistake. Natalie at the time was my girlfriend. She wanted to play adventure games because she liked fantasy. And so we tried Oblivion, and that was a fucking dumpster fire. Was a terrible idea because, again, she had to use both analog sticks. She couldn't kill the rat in the opening dungeon.
Rip.
And that's most people who are 25 years old who have never played a game in their life, and you hand them dual analog sticks. It's just not going to happen. So that's my big suggestion. Otherwise, you have to just ask her, what looks good to you? What looks interesting? And maybe they'll pick something dog shit, and you know it is not that fun. But you have to get something that they're interested in and work with that. And then worry about the other stuff later. Because holding their interest when they're terrible at a game... I mean, who likes playing a game they're dog shit at? Who turns on a game and like sucks at it and like, I'm having a great time?
I don't.
So why would somebody like that do it?
Yeah, I'm with Adam. Yeah. You have to pick games that that she's attracted to, as in like she's like, oh, this looks really like a fun game, or you can even start really small. You can do keyboard and mouse. You don't have to be a controller. And you could play a game like Minecraft that like is super chill. It's still a video game. You can do that. There are, those story-like games that like, you can actually almost like those Telltale games where it doesn't really require a whole lot of
you don't necessarily
stuff.
Die, right? Like you can take your time.
You can take your time, do it. You can do puzzle games. You can play, games like Among Us. Like party games that are video games but aren't mechanically overly challenging. But yeah. The other thing is, I don't remember the question. I don't know if it says she's super interested in games or she just doesn't like them and he's trying to get her to like them.
He's just looking for suggestions to get her into gaming as well as get better at gaming.
Gotcha.
Because she's clearly never played very many.
I'm also going to go on the other opposite of the idea. If she has no interest in video games and she's not good at them,
don't bother.
Don't bother.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, just because it's something that you enjoy and you love, and it's a big part of who you are, doesn't necessarily mean she has to be part of that as well. As long as she allows you, and when I say allows you, but like she's understanding that this is what you like to do as a hobby and you're doing it responsibly and you're not taking all of your attention away from her and you have a good balance, then that's great. There are things that Kayla does that I have zero interest in. None. At all. And I'm going to be honest, I don't have any desire to be interested in any of those things. But I respect that it's her hobby. It's her thing that she does. And if she is doing those things and I'm not doing anything, I don't look at her and say, well, where's my time? Where's me? Like, why are you choosing that over me or whatever? Because I do those things as well. Sometimes I go to the movies by myself and that's my thing. Sometimes I'll go and just get a massage and that's my thing. Sometimes I'll just go. I'm very big on going to get something to eat by myself. It's my thing. I just like to be away in my own head and listen to the things that I want to listen to. Same with like podcasts that I like. She might not be interested into that. I don't force it on her. Yeah, in a perfect world, yeah, it'd be cool to meet somebody that has all the same interests as you and everything is fucking hunky and door. But I also think that might even be some nightmare fuel because you need some kind of thing that's away from your significant other so that you feel like you have some sort of individuality. I don't know if everybody feels like that. At least I do. If she has no interest in gaming, then don't get her into gaming. Maybe you can just talk about a storyline or whatever, or show her something that interests you, and maybe she's like, oh, that's cool, and then that's that. But don't force her to game if she don't want to game because you'd like her to. That's my opinion.
If she's asking, we don't know the context of it, but if she is asking to, like, she wants to and she's looking to try and get into it and it's just challenging, which is a possibility, then yeah, it stands. No dual analog sticks. Stay the fuck away from that. I will, if I had to give a really specific example of what I think would work if she is looking to try and get into stuff and get a little bit better, you have to start with something that's one analog stick. Japanese RPGs. Traditional JRPGs. Turn-based.
They're pretty easy.
Not ATB shit where you're on a timer and you got to be like super fucking quick about everything and like keep up with stuff. But just like turn-based JRPGs, the one that worked, that was also the same example that Natalie and I ended up playing the whole way through was Lost Odyssey. And she played a lot of it. There was one day, I'll never forget it. It was in this very room, but I was upstairs getting something at the time, and we were both playing it. And when I went upstairs and I was doing some shit, and then I thought I was like hearing, it's like, what the fuck am I hearing? And she was down here playing it by herself.
Oh,
and so,
your dick got hard.
And so like and so I was, and so I said, holy shit, a breakthrough! It's like a breakthrough, right? Man.
And the last thing is exactly what Adam said. She might not even have to play the games. Maybe there's a game that like you think she would enjoy that she can be beside you and you guys can experience it together.
Yeah.
As in you're going through the story together, you're talking about it, you're getting excited about it together. And maybe that's your thing. Maybe she doesn't actually have to play it. Maybe she can just be there while you play it and you share those experiences together. And maybe you're reading through the dialogue and you're getting her to pick some of the choices that your character makes and just make it engaging. It's a good start.
And that's a good end. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a long one, but that's the end of this Technical Alpha. We will be back next week. Don't worry, Mom and Dad aren't fighting, for God's sake. I can already see the goddamn YouTube comments right now. It's probably just going to be a complete dumpster
It's the reason
fire.
why I didn't want to get into it, is because I already know where it goes. And I don't have enough of an army behind me where I feel like I'm being represented in a manner
in the comments section. I get it.
Exactly. Because I'm not part of the horde, right? So, at the end of the day, Adam knows I love him. I'm already over it. It wasn't that serious. And once again, I apologize if I offended Adam. But at the end of the day, I don't think any less of Adam. If I have any serious deep-seated problems with him, I'll say it to his face. I'm not here to out Adam on. He can have whatever views he wants on whatever he wants. And I already know how I get. So people can't say like, oh well, Adam's super calm and Jeff is yelling. Dude, I'm yelling all the time. It's not like it's a very specific thing for Adam, or just because whenever I get heated or I get passionate about something, my voice raises. It's just how I am. And I could be talking about dicks and ass and whatever.
Shit, he was screaming about grinding dudes earlier.
I get the same fucking way, right? And yes, if I offended Adam, I apologize. I already said it earlier. He knows I love him. And it's just the way it is. We're fine. But I just don't like talking about such one-sided things or sorry, like divided things, because I already know that my views on a lot of things does not line up with the viewership that we have collectively. And I feel like I get ganged up on and it becomes herd mentality. I'm just not interested. That's why there are times where I message Adam before a podcast. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, we veto stuff.
We veto stuff because like I'm not interested in having to try and defend myself. Because it's like talking to a brick wall. I'm not going to make any breakthrough in certain things. And so if I'm going to have those conversations, I'd rather have them in private and not in front of the world. I guess our little tiny world.
our postage stamp.
Exactly. So it's all good. I apologize if I offended anybody, because that's not my goal. And I get heated, and I get that's the way I am. And that's like, instead of me, I almost just shut it down. But I'm like, okay, that's probably irresponsible. I'll just give them the option, because I just didn't want to go through it. I know Adam enough that I know where shit goes, and he knows me enough that I know where shit goes. So why bother? So it is what it is.
But yes, if you made it this far, the problem is that this is at the very end of the podcast. So this is a well, then we're too late to the party, but maybe go back and hit the edit button.
You can message, yeah. You can do your little commenting and say, "Hey, go to this part of the podcast and listen." Okay,
yes.
Because it's not that serious. It's really not that serious. It's actually not serious at all, at all. But you know how the internet is. They make people get so passionate about certain things.
Absolutely.
That's just that.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you guys next week. And until then, stay safe out there. And, I don't know, play fucking God of War Ragnarok. Seems like a good game. Peace.
Peace.